Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the stream. Oh, it's Saturday, baby. Oh, my legs, my body. I think it's Saturday, right? It has to be. Saturday. Yes, it's Saturday. Sorry, it's been a hell of a day. How has your day been going, ladies and gentlemen? Mine was starting off pretty good, and then video got corrupted. Also, the font's so tiny. Damn it. I reset my computer. Better. Okay. Now we're back. Sorry about that. My font was super tiny because I reset my computer. Lone Syndicate says, hello, Grin. What is good, Lone Syndicate? How has your guys' day been? Fluff says, turns out I still have access to gift sub emotes, so thank you. Also, oh my god. That's so fucked up, Lone Syndicate. Oh my god, thank you so much, Lone Syndicate. Why didn't it go? Did it go? But I just didn't hear it? Shit. Regardless, Lone Syndicate just subscribed the tier 1 sub, but they've been subscribed for 25 fucking months. Currently on a 6-month streak. That's fucked. It's the 25-month thing that is just a goddamn crazy. Thank you so much, Lone Syndicate. I appreciate the support as always. Also, Bayonetta is a thing. Yeah, man, I do not know if we're gonna get this game anytime soon. Also, it doesn't look like, well, the gameplay looks super crazy. I will say, I'm not a big fan of the character they've just introduced in the Bayonetta trailer. Is this fun? Too much punk rock Brit type vibe, scene, etc. But still cool, I bet. But weird, yes, like her jaw is non-existent a little bit. Who knows? Could just be me. But anywho. Also, it looks like she's a person that we predominantly play, which is, odd. Potentially, could be Bayonetta's long-lost daughter. Kind of a missed... Well, no, it probably makes sense that she's not. Yeah, there's no son of Bayonetta. Because, yeah. Also, I don't know what that is, by the way. There's like a tss, happening, like a little static fucking break. I don't know what that is. Let me know if you guys hear it, too. Spark says, throws rock. Lurking also. Gotcha. So you just threw a rock and hid in a bush? Got it. How are you, Sparks? Never mind, you're lurking. Thank you for being here. Lone Syndicate says, oh, wait. Bayonetta releases in October? Is that what it said? Bayonetta 3 is coming October, the 28th. That's what the trailer is for. Oh, I didn't know this. Oh, no, sorry. I'm getting my wires crossed. No, sorry. I watched a reaction today of game devs reacting to Wukong, the Son of Wukong game we've seen a while ago, and they were saying the game is never going to come out, and that somehow bled into Bayonetta. Sorry, I've been sitting here watching it for like 20 minutes doing this. Oh, panic. Look at his fucking reflexes. So fast. Shit. Anyways, I was just doing this. Everyone does that, Also, ladies and gentlemen, even though I have a full version, not full, it's like half full, of the other gamer sub, it's like a berry, it's like a blueberry type drink. In here, I was debating on not opening the other one because until tomorrow maybe, but I wanted to round it off, get it over with. So in here, in this vial / very small little 1 cup drink thermos, whatever, is the last of the gamer subs I bought. I bought 3. Have not finished all of them. No, this is just the 3rd one we haven't tried out yet. Thus far, it's blueberry, dragon fruit, and then who knows where this will be placed. But blueberry, whatever the blue archon berry, whatever the hell it's called, it's the best. But this is called Misfit Melon, is what this is the flavor from Gamer Sub. So we're gonna try it, just because I thought, fuck it, I don't know. I was just like, well, we're gonna do it eventually. Might as well get it over with. But yeah, here we go. Ooh. Tastes like melon. Oof. Tastes like melon bubblegum almost. Weird. That's also like, that is the most flavor of a melon I've ever tasted. Like, even melon doesn't taste this melony. You know what I mean? It's not horrible. It sits really well. Like, when you just kind of, like, when it's done, it's like, not bad. Not bad. But when you first take a drink, you're like, ew. Wait. Okay. Yeah, the best way I could describe it, it's like melon bubble gum. Like bubble gum kind of like lingering taste and like kind of like chewiness. If that makes any sense. And like melon. Exactly like melon. Not bad. I don't regret it, but I think this is probably the last. So to me, blueberry, dragon fruit, melon. I would say the blueberry version, whatever it's called, is the bee's knees. I'm bad with memory, so I don't know exactly what it's called. Forgive me. But at least that's done. Anyways, I'm happy to round it off though. Although I do regret the blueberry or the melon. It's just not. It's not the same. Let me see. I got blueberry right here because blueberry is my favorite. I'm gonna burn that one out first. Yeah, that one's better. That one's the best. That one's the best. It's also not very heavy. Doesn't taste strong as shit. Anyways, let me catch up on chat. Fluff says, but it's a Switch exclusive because Nintendo saved the franchise. Yes, that's true. But at the same time, we're going to talk about it. There's a specific conversation. I've done good today, boys. I did what I've always planned on doing but never did, which is I wrote down specific notes that I wanted to talk to you about because that's what we do here. Okay? Let's keep. I want to keep touching base real quick before we get into it. Also, Fluff, it didn't really connect in my head. The VTuber who you were saying is now like retiring, is she the one with orange hair and horns? Because I've seen some. I did a try not to grin today. Was very fun. Not so fun was the fact that one of the videos got corrupted, and I'm peeved about it. Anywho, but yeah. But I seen one of her, and I was like, oh, is it her that's leaving? Oh, that sucks. Yeah, because she was like one of the OGs that were like trying to speak English and whatnot. Maybe I'm misremembering people. I feel like today's gonna be a real like distorted memory thing. Fluff says short, light-colored hair characters with a big katana and name starts with a V. Must be a coincidence. Yes. Virgil like character. I mean, I don't know if I like it. Virgil was kind of clean, like the definition of just sharp. She seems like she's like Virgil that also is like into punk rock, you know, which seems cool, but Lone Syndicate says, yes, just a coincidence, Fluff. My thoughts exactly. Oh, I guess it makes sense. So what, Dante, Virgil, and Nero? No. too much parallel. I will say though, the combat does look fantastic. As much as I do harp on games for like games go too hard into like graphical detail and not enough into gameplay flushing out. This one seems to be absolutely wicked in terms of that gameplay thing. Although I will say I feel like the design stuff is mostly on the Nintendo hellscape. I feel like it's more of the Switch limitation that the game looks a little fucky in terms of quality of graphics. But I'm happy to have the gameplay. Honestly, if it just looked like this and we get this kind of gameplay, I'm in. What is good second day popping in with egg? With egg in the hoodie, maybe? Cold the egg. Honestly, Viola looks cool to me. More punk than the DMC reboot tried to accomplish. Really? Yeah, I disagree. I disagree big time. I would have said like new Dante looked way better or way more punk rock, like genuinely. Yeah, that to me is wild. Just look like even her for a couple minutes. I don't. Yeah, this is better than the edgy Dante from DMC. Do you see a profile pic of that guy? He looks pretty goddamn clean. He looks pretty good. Also, he looks like he's kind of like a schlubby Brit, which makes sense. This one looks like all kinds of shit. I'll be honest, my only dislike really is the jawline and the long as fuck neck. That's my only selfish and stupid criticism. That's the only thing that seemingly stands off a little weird. Like, yeah, the chin looks perfectly fucking symmetrical, like my Saints Row character. Too much perfect symmetry. Also, well, I don't know. I really do. I keep hearing this like sound. I'm not sure. Can you guys hear like a static sizzle every now and again, or no? If you can, let me know about it, because I'll fix it. I think. Golly. The original hair on last generations already. She's now joining the Shoujo as her a more personal VTuber self. Oh, okay. So now that's what I'm understanding. Gotcha. Understood. Fluff says, the one that guarantees on the 31st is Sana, is the one with the blonde hair, dark skin, and space themed. I don't know. Dark skin, space theme. I don't know that one, Fluff. I don't know that one. Secretary says, yes, egg with hoodie. I keep getting a sub, which is nice. Oh, nice. People keep giving you gifted subs. Yeah, it's a good play to be in those chats with some good emotes, even just playing in the background. Well, it says, Grin, if I haven't said it before, I despise what they did to Dante and Virgil in DMC reboot. No, I don't think he ever did. Or if he did, I completely didn't really nail that down. But okay. Really? Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I like design-wise or everything? It has to be design-wise. Because the gameplay in DMC was really fun. Had to be design-wise. I also, you know me, I haven't played the like sequels, like I haven't played number 1 and 2, so I don't know, I don't have the reverence for like Dante, I guess, that some people have, but also I notoriously remember Dante not having a lot of like personality because they couldn't afford it. They could only afford like the certain kind of cheeky hit people into a boombox kind of thing. Maybe that was enough for a lot of people, but yeah. Also, there's the DMC TV show, which probably flushed out a lot of stuff. If you're also a fan of that, then that makes more sense. But yeah. Losika says, maybe it's the fact that her look is not subtle, like she is trying way too hard to be... Maybe, yeah, that's probably it too. Like, something about Bayonetta seems coherent, you know what I mean? Like, dark, with some dark red highlights and shit. You know, also definitely going the whole BDSM vibe. There it is again, that damn sizzle. To me, it just looks like it seems like sequence. I'm not a big fan of like art that is not how to say it, fashion that is specifically designed to be kind of like obnoxious because it's so polarizing almost. You know, I like sequence stuff. You know, that makes any sense. Fluff says, I didn't even do punk rock right, and I was never, it was never what Dante was known for in the original series. Oh, you mean like the animated TV series? Okay, so that's where you're pulling your under. Because I just don't know where people's like baseline for Dante is. I thought DMC was a game before it was an anime. Sana is part of the HoloLive VTubers Ascent. They're second generation, so she's quite new by comparison. Gotcha. Okay, Fluff says, original Devil May Cry was originally meant to be a Resident Evil game. DMC 2 was terrible. Devil May Cry 2 was terrible. Devil May Cry 3 was a prequel that properly explained on his character and personality. Oh, well, I didn't know that. Okay. I guess that makes sense, actually. I think I've seen something like that. There's no show for Devil May Cry, not yet at least. No, that's not true, Fluff. I don't think so. Yeah, I could have sworn there is a Devil May Cry with Don. Am I misremembering that? I feel like I'm not. Can somebody Google that for me? I'm almost certain there's a Devil May Cry series. Maybe it was only like 12 episodes, but I'm almost certain I've seen some. There's got to be something super adjacent to that. I think that's right. I remember seeing like a weird version of Dante in his red cloak popping off and shit. Oh wait, never mind. There's okay, yeah. I don't know. That was the one thing I was like, I think like this is the thing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple particular things. I made notes, so we can talk about stuff, so that we're not just like, oh god, what do I say? Okay, so first things first. As you guys know, I am recently doing this like course thing. I'm reading a book, basically, the course that goes along with it. It's fucking stupidly good and enlightening for your boy, in terms of the way I'm valuing it. Love it a bit. But I found out some interesting things. So one of the things that the course gets you to do is basically, it's called reconnaissance and research. And the baseline idea is that you're trying to basically find your audience and or to get an understanding of the potential of an environment. Hence the idea of research and recon. Is like the title of the course, basically, of this part of the book of the course. But I digress. So what they have you doing, essentially, and it's pretty clever, they basically go whatever your niche is, and for us, I'm doing this for right now, I'm doing it for this Brothers Grin channel, so I'm going into well, let me tell you, but that's the thing I'm doing this for. So the first thing they get you to do in this course is basically to go through all of your niche, which for me is the Wonderland's community, essentially, and to basically curate all of the top channels, top 10 channels in the space. Not only top 10, it's usually just the 10 that you are that see the most value from, meaning like, are they still getting consistent viewership, or are they doing this, are they doing that, so stuff like that. So you're supposed to aggregate 10 channels together, and then you're going to go through those channels and find commonality between all of them. And also, so after you've done finding baseline commonality between all of them, then you switch to their most popular videos, and you see the commonality of what their most successful video was. So then you go through all these top channels. This takes an ungodly amount of time, by the way. And yeah, you go through all this stuff. Now, one of the things that they talk about within the chapter before this is called market cap, essentially. But it's basically the idea that like how much value or people or whatever is in a place. So they have an example in the book which is really cool. Long story short, there was a channel where they talked about law, and this guy was main objective with the channel was just basically to talk about law and to inform law students on the various intricacies of law. And eventually he got to 100,000 subscribers and had a consultation with the guy that wrote the book. And basically the guy that wrote the book, who's like an advisor for channels and analytical data, basically asked him, what do you think is the market cap for people who are interested in law and or law students? And they Googled it, and they found out that it was about 100,000. So he reached the maximum cap of his audience. So the next step was basically broaden your horizon. He started doing lawyer reacts content, and his channel did wonderful. But the point is that as I'm doing this, as I'm aggregating all of the top Wonderlands channels, I don't mean this in any negative way. I just wanted to give you guys the information that I'm given. After I've done aggregating all of these channels, I see that it doesn't just baseline. I go through like daily, I go through monthly, I go through everything, and I just don't see that many viewership anywhere. I try to find the most popular video in this month, this year, and a little bit at the year. There's a little bit at the year, but there's not very much just people there. I've never seen a video breach maybe 100,000, and if it is, it's like a specific video that has it's by like a super invested content creator, stuff like that. So I'm kind of sitting there like, oh, this is like, that's really helpful just in general. Like even you just taking a giant surveillance of a community that you're trying to like produce content for, and being like, oh, there's not that many people wanting it. Or at least there's not yet people wanting it. And it's kind of a good side profile of this is if you look at the Genshin community, to where you look at the Genshin community and you're like, holy shit, there's like still plenty of people watching those videos, new up and coming channels that are able to capture weird value by like doing 3D animations with the character models and shit. I seen one the other day that was incredibly funny and charming. But yeah, just that idea. So that was the first kind of thing I had, which was, what do you guys do with that? What do we do with that? When you're like, I'm gonna make a channel about looter shooters, and then you look into stuff and you're like, looter shooters aren't really hot right now. Also, the game I'm chosen to start kind of picking away at stuff, not really popping off. Not really a lot of value to be captured. And maybe there's a good argument for, well, GRINN, you got to be the guy to create. It's true. I could be the person that like ignites it, but it's a question of like, are you willing to do all of that? What also, there's good examples of people doing the best kind of content, and then still there just not being a great deal of people in the environment, and therefore kind of like a wasted effort a little bit. So yeah, but anyways, the next phase of this, after you're done aggregating 10 channels and like basically looking at their most successful videos, and finding out what they're due. Also, you're looking for the most recent successful video, but it's also somewhat okay to get videos that are oldish, but you still want something kind of current, because you know, communities can change, times can change, values, and other channels creating the same things can affect the value of a current video that was old, I guess. For instance, if you see a video is 5 years old and it's a video on Borderlands 2 and it's a guide, and then you look at other people's newer videos that are guides and you realize that they're not that successful anymore, and then you look at the giant sum of the ecosystem and you see that, oh my god, 60 people are making guides, and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That diminished over time, hence the value of wanting to find something current. I digress. So then, after you're done doing that, you basically are tasked with finding the most successful videos of all 10 channels, and finding the ones that seem somewhat different, and then watching through all of them, not as a viewer, but as a researcher, kind of like an analyst. So you're basically trying to look for things like, at what point do you find yourself getting bored, and how do they manage to keep you excited again? Like, re-engage you is what it's called. So re-engagement. So then you write down person coupled their build breakdown with interchanging gameplay to make you excited again for what they're talking about. Rather than just talking at a screen a lot, they're supplementing gameplay. Okay. Another example was I broke down another channel and I found out that the way he's like makes his intro is almost always the same, of like teasing out a reason for why he's making the video, a rant, a whatever, and then eventually being like, okay, here's finally at like the 6-minute mark, when you're already halfway through the video, he's like, here's my big problem. But he doesn't do it on purpose. It almost seems like he's just trying to hedge his bets and stuff like that, which is really cleverly adjusted. And it's also there, you're trying to look for points in which the video makes you feel invested, which is interesting. So like again, saying like, I have a big grievance with this game, but so many things are fantastic. And then for 4 minutes, you're talking about all of the wonderful things the game has. But then you pivot and you say, okay, but my main problem with this game is this. But you were invested in, well, what's that big problem? And of course, it's what XYZ. I was watching a video on Tiny Tina's Wonderland right now. Oh no, Borderlands 3, and the person was doing a really good job about saying like, I have one big problem with the game. Otherwise, it's my game of the year. I think it's this. I think it's that. And went on like a tangent about how good the game was, only to then come back to say the worst part about Borderlands 3 is Ava. And then of course you can break that down even further and be like, okay, well, is this person's opinion, which it could be, maybe 30% his opinion, but is this also a response to being in like Reddit threads and like comment sections that talk about how everybody despises Ava and how the community desperately wants a voice and to give reason to why they are so unhappy with the story itself. And in the video, the dude does exactly that. He gives good reasons to like say, if in Borderlands 3, if Ava was not if Ava was replaced with Tiny Tina, how amazing would the story of Borderlands 3 would kind of be, outside of the one moment where Lilith kind of just bitches out and doesn't do Lilith things, and he also points out that about like that being a problem, where like Lilith, the like devourer of worlds, the like ruthless tyrant, just falls apart and like lets a child that already had like terrible baseline information on how to succeed. Like for instance, like Maya dies because Ava basically told her, like, we run into the fire. Like Ava runs into the fire and like gets Maya killed. And then like Lilith is like, yeah, that's what we should do, even though that action got my friend killed. But no, we'll listen to the child. And it's just like, what the Lilith, you're a fucking goddamn queen. What's happening? Bullshit. So yeah, he goes through and he basically gives a voice to that community, and I thought that's such a clever way to give intrigue, but also to kind of like hedge your bets about making content that somebody actually finds interesting. Now, of course, you can't always do that, but that's a good way to understand. Like and even like again, I think it's most people dislike Ava, so it's just taking this time to slow down and be like, well, why? What is truly flawed about this character? And then you're like, okay, I can put this in a way that makes people understand it, you know. But yeah, but anyways, yeah, okay, I talked enough about it, but that's basically the format that I've been doing, and the whole reason why the course is getting you to do this, which is really interesting, is it's getting you to see patterns, basically. So you see the top 10 channels, you see the most successful videos, you see what they're doing in those successful videos, and you're basically seeing why they are successful, and you're seeing commonality between them, whether that's like formatting, whether that's like thumbnail, which by the way, so many thumbnails when you start looking at the most successful ones back to back have stupid crazy commonality. And yeah, but also it's like, again, the whole point is not to like copy other people because you see that, but it's to see patterns of why things succeeded. Hence why, like, oh, a lot of the video, like one of the biggest things is most videos in the million view category for all of these channels I aggregated were like maybe five words in the title, like super small title, very minimal subject matter and thumbnail, like how to get to chaos level 50 fast. Like that was the thing, you know, that's kind of obvious. Another one was the problem with Borderlands 3, like super easy, clean, you understand a lot of information from the title and thumbnail and you're ready to go in, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, but that's what the thing is trying to get you to do, is to see patterns within video structure, so that you can kind of be like, okay, well then you learn those patterns and think, okay, I can implement some of those. Absolutely, you know what I mean? And you continue to do that forever, basically, looking at other people's content as like a researcher and an analyst. But let's get into it. I want to talk to you guys more about it. I want to read what you guys are saying. Lone Sigan says, as someone who's played all of the DMC games, watched an anime, and read some of the light novels, I was a bit disappointed at the reboot design of Dante. Yeah, no, I agree. I honestly, for what it's worth, though, I don't know if I'd be... Like, if I were, like, you can play, like, let's say, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but you can play DMC as what Dante would kind of look like. Like, you can, like, you dress up normally as Dante. You can have the long hair, the crazy thing. They kind of did this, I think, to appease some of the people. Now, granted, maybe you just dislike his personality. I don't know Dante's personality, so I have no idea or baseline of that. But I'm wondering if... is it like the way he looks? Like, what are you displeased with? Because I'm curious about that. Is it the look of Dante on DMC, or is it the personality of him just being super different? Because I don't even think he's that much of a personality in DMC. Not like, at least not polarizing, but maybe like misses the mark for what people want or think Dante is. But also, isn't it like kind of like an origin story where he's kind of like a prepubescent teen, where he kind of is supposed to be cringe because he wasn't always cool all the time, you know? But anyways, oh yeah. I almost never heard about it, so I forgot it existed. Yeah, no, I only have a distant memory of seeing like an animation of it, and I'm thinking, weird. I don't know why. I've seen it in 3D in a video game. It's weird to see it in anime form. Not sure if it's a video or something funky with the audio setup, but I'm hearing static whenever you do. Okay, good. Let me fix it. I'll fix it. Hopefully that works. Hopefully that's okay. Oh, my chat, I can't see this. Okay. Fluff says, I didn't appreciate the attitude that the devs and the characters had regarding the source material. Dante was foul-mouthed a douchebag. He was a goofball that loved pizza and slaying demons in rockin' style, sort of like the Bayonetta, sort of like Bayonetta, and a sense of class and goth flair. Dante was rock and roll. Oh, okay, I see. Okay, so I can see that makes sense. Dante was more rock and roll, and I feel like we got more edginess and like brooding than the original. That makes sense. Yeah, okay, that feels more clear. And I got how perceives of series is different since you were introduced to it with the reboot first, but even when the game is solid, especially with the re-release, fixed most of the issues. It boils down to the color-coded weapons and the enemies rather than weaving stances and weapons to counter different enemies and their moves. Yeah. I guess to me, I've never really felt like, and I might feel it when it fucks with something that I like really have a built-in thing with, but like if it ever did it with Fable, where it like can change the entire, like Fable was, I don't know, man. I just don't know if I have that same thing where like, even like if that, like I do agree that the gameplay loops are different, but I love like, what do you call it, the gameplay loop of like the match the damage type for the enemy kind of thing, like same thing as God of War. Like I like the combat style. I liked it in that as well, in DMC as well. But then I really like the combat style of classic, like the newest DMC that was released, where you're like weaving all together these different things, getting SSS ranks and stuff like that. Fluff says, as for the current topic, I noticed shortly after you made a decision to split your content into multiple channels, another I follow had consisted their multi-channel format into their main. He found that wasn't gaining enough traffic split across each channel, so it was simply less hassle to bring them all into one main channel and organize into playlists and maintain the same release schedule otherwise. Yeah, to me, to tell you the truth, a part of me is like, don't judge it just yet, for me at least, because everything that I've seen makes me think that everything could possibly work. It's given how you are managing YouTube's goals and everything about it. So for instance, if you upload at the same time every time, basically what is happening, and is unrefutable, is YouTube desperately wants to find you in an audience, but it uses user data to do that. So if it sees that like 90% of people who like, let's say, food content, like they see 90% of people who like food content for whatever reason did not engage well with your current content, then that means it will not push it towards other channels that have similar viewing habits than others. So regardless of, like, everyone who's on YouTube who's watching stuff is in a category, even if you don't know you're on it. So I probably am in the gaming category, with long form content, with like comedy probably being my subheader that like is my viewership. So if I watch something and I engage properly with it, then it will probably shift that to viewers that are like me. So YouTube is trying to find you an audience constantly. Now, it is possible, I think, that YouTube can distinguish exactly who your viewers are. So it can know that, oh, okay, this person is specifically coming to you for gaming content. This viewer is specifically coming to you for food content. But I think where it gets messy is when you start fucking with the subcategory of content. So for instance, say if you make content in food, make food content, you can't make food content for everyone, basically. So you can't say everybody is my audience, because it's just not true. The same if you make a video on a recipe, the recipe will not do well, probably, with people who are like who are wanting information, who are wanting like a goofy comedy video. So if you make a comedy video about recipes, odds are it's probably not going to go well, because people who are looking for recipes and searching for that specifically are probably just going to want the recipe and leave. They're not really there to like hear about how what you thought of the they just want the recipe, how to do it, and they leave. Whereas there is another subsect of food people who are called foodies, who are people who like watch food as entertainment. So they're watching like Gordon Ramsay, and sure as shit nobody cares about what food Gordon Ramsay's making. It's just like he basically has a bunch of characters within the same, like, I'll look at that in a minute. But he basically has a bunch of he's like a storyteller essentially, and he just exists in food land. Same thing with like the kind of people that would enjoy Gordon Ramsay probably would enjoy a personality talking about like the new restaurant that they're currently in, but they're not the same audience. Like if you try to make content for one of them, they'll be unhappy because it's not what they want. Like if you made the same personality content for like recipes, odds are it probably wouldn't do well, because they just want the recipe and they want to leave. And this brings me to my kind of next topic that I want to talk to you guys about, is me having surveillanced to some extent. Okay, well, there's two topics. I hope you guys don't let me forget this next one. I kind of want to finish off this topic, so I hope did I write it down? If I wrote it down, then maybe I'm okay. Okay. No, I kind of didn't write it down. Let me get a sec. How do I phrase this so it's easy to remember? I did not spell that right. I'll figure it out. I should be able to remember that. Okay, sorry, we'll catch up on chat. Thank you, Batista, by the way. I can't really thank you yet, but I will do it again in a minute. Fluff says, he also has it set up so if he uploads chunks of recording/stream sessions of games, it doesn't flood the sub feed and only shows the first episode, average 30 minutes to an hour. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see how that makes work. It seems like quite the complicated, like, sectioning. But yeah, with the link and the playstyle and the playlist to continue from there. Not sure how it works exactly. It's not having them unlisted, but it also doesn't spam the sub. Yeah, no, you can. I think you can set in the video itself, deep in the analytics, deep in the settings. You can choose to not forward it to playlist, or sorry, to the sub feed essentially. But yes, but what was I trying to say in regards to that? I think it was in regards to like, I do think, as much as like, yes, YouTube is trying to find you your audience, like that's the whole point, is it wants people to like wants you to give people your content so that people will stay on site and etc. But they do have that metric of value. They want people to stay on site and to engage for the entirety of the video. If they get bored and walk away from the site mid-video, then that's not good. That's not what they want. So, but I do think there is something to be said for you can make it easier for the algorithm to know where to put you. I've been really, to be honest, I've been half-assing my Share or Grin channel just because I haven't had the time to actually like do the data breakdown that I need to it. But I've been getting considerably better views on my my Wonderland videos. So to me, it's working for me as a person who was stuck at like getting 120 views forever, with some various degrees of success when I kind of analyzed the community and made videos for specifically them. That was good, but yeah. Fluff says, anyways, it's partly why I was thinking it'd be better to have a channel being more general purpose. Main channel is streaming and Twitch VODs. Archive, Share, Grin is non-gaming content, and Brothers Grin is gaming and guides. Yeah, you know, I think that's what we're kind of already doing right now. Yeah, no, for what it's worth, I don't think that's what we're going to talk about in a minute, Fluff, but I think I'll do that exactly that, if that's what you were saying, and yeah. DMC reboot ignores nearly everything the original game had. It placed regarding Dante and Virgil and other lore. Really? Because I thought it ended up at the same kind of like, I thought it was a prequel, so I thought it kind of built up like you all land at the same point. I thought, or did DMC 1 and 2 start in the same place that DMC starts? I didn't know that. For one, in the main series, Dante and Virgil are sons of the devil Sparta. Their mother is a human, not an angel. Okay, I see. In the reboot, they're Nephilim, half angel, half demon, which to me makes a little more sense. They don't even include characters like Lady or Trish, who was the demon that could shapeshift and took the appearance of Dante's mother once to become one of his comrades going forward. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, she's the person in Devil May Cry, the first one. Oh, sorry, the DMC, the newest one. The one who's wearing leather. For what it's worth, Lone Syndicate says, for what it's worth, I've come to like the reboot a lot more from what I first played when I was like 13. The characters looking at it now, I see what they were trying to do, but I enjoyed the gameplay and the flow of combat. Granted, it had its down points, like when you had to do damage to a certain enemy with a certain weapon, like color matching, that I didn't like. But with the other point combat was great. Now the story I hated. Oh, I see. So it is like a continuity of the character. I hated back then, and I still hate now. It's just boring, and I have replayed it. Okay, so yeah, you still have your okay. Yeah, to me that seems like the consensus then. It seems like a lot of people just have a dislikement for the way they handle this Who is Dante, it seems like. And as a person who's never really seen Who is Dante, I guess I was just like, I like this character. I like, I think it's fun to see a person who's a goof. Also, I liked that, because my perception, which probably was wrong looking at what Fluff is saying, my perception of DMC was that Dante, how to put it, DMC was like a reboot of or like the prequel of the prequel. It was like Dante as like a selfish kid who didn't know nothing about nothing, and it was showing you the story of how they usurped their dad and how Virgil kind of became Virgil, which was kind of like not really how Virgil became Virgil, but how it kind of this setup DMC 1, 2, and 3, which to me, because it was like Dante going through puberty, I thought like, yeah, have fun with it. He could have been a loser. Like, to me, it's cool that he became who he was in XYZ. Now I think in order to make that make sense, they probably should have waited to do it. Like at the end, he should have been all-encompassing changed. But yeah. I wasn't really opposed to Kat, but I didn't feel like they gave her enough weight or importance compared to the likes of the feminine fatales of the main series. Okay. Also, Matism says, "Hey Grim, also thank you for the sub. Subscribe for subscribe on a 9 months sub. Thank you so much, Matism." Matism says, "Hey Grim, I am here to say that no matter what, to whom that needs to hear this, I may not be old, kinda, but I am proud of you. No matter who you are, I am absolutely proud of you." That's very sweet to say, Matism. I hope people say that to you as well, because it's far too much of a thing that people don't hear a lot of. Granted, I do also think that you should be proud of you. You shouldn't care as much about who gives a shit about you. Okay, you should care more about, I'm proud of me. I'm happy with who I am. I'm happy with my actions. I don't need anyone to tell me I'm great. Okay, I'll be that voice in my head 1,000-fold, because I'll always have that voice. You know what I mean? But that is a nice thing to hear from a friend and from people who genuinely care, of course. Lone Syndicate says, the PS4 and the story still does nothing for me. Like, I understand what's going on now. I find it's just as boring as when I played it when I was 13. I don't understand anything. Yeah, I can see that too. Matism says, what's the GRINN doing? What's GRINN doing? We're just having a chat. We're having a chat talking about some things. Fluff says, as for the reboot, looking like classic Dante or not is a surface level issue. The writing was poor. Even the main DMC series wasn't that deep. It knew how to have fun rather than being edgy, just to appeal to the narrative demographic. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I never really felt like it was. Yeah, I think it only, to me as a person who, again, I think you dislike the narrative because you played I think that's what a lot of people, because as a person who's never played the previous game, I like narrative structure a lot. To me, it just seemed like a punk rock edgy kid, like, saving the world, essentially. That was like the story. And I think that's people who are like, don't do that. Don't do DMC like that. That's not DMC. Like, don't take existing characters and corrupt them like that. You don't know. Yeah. But I don't think I would say it's a bad story. I think it's a bad story for being a DMC game. I think if it was not a DMC game, I think it probably would have been significantly better. But I think it's the predisposition that people had towards the series that made it fucked up like that. That made it kind of, because again, I think if you detach the DMC logo, people don't bring in the baggage that is having a cool character that they like Dante, and it's just this new rebellious Brit who's edgy and they're like to me, the thing that like sells DMC to me that no games get close to really capturing is the design. I love the DMC design, like the corrupted, like memory fragmenting world design and all that stuff. And yeah, I think that's, to me, is the best way to describe it, because I genuinely think if you were to take away the DMC aspect, the story wouldn't be that like horrific. Granted, I do understand some people dislike the combat of constantly having to mix match characters. But yeah. Fluff says, in that case, keep that going, because trying to focus on specific game genres like looter shooters, which is fading back into the lull after Wonderland started strong and yet fell off. Yeah. No, I definitely don't think we're gonna. That is something I was gonna tell you guys. Okay, so I forgot I had one more thing to tell you. What's good, Merlin? Merlin says, yo, Grin, how are you doing? I'm doing great, Merlin. Better now that you're here. We're just talking about YouTube stuff and the future of channels. It's actually pretty important, but I'm happy to have you here, Merlin. And there's some similar stories beats between the main DMC and the reboot. The reboot is early days, similar to DMC 3. Oh, okay, it's not meant to be connected to the rest of the games. And if it's not DMC 5, Ninja Theory was likely wanting to continue with it. Oh, I see. Okay. Also, his Devil Trigger is meant to be more dramatic transformation, not just his hair going white. Ironically, with the early scene where the white wings landed on his head, and they give a proverbial middle finger to the original fan base. Yeah, to me, I do agree with what I feel like tension build up, because I don't feel the same way is when you like you say it's bad writing. Because to me, I think if they did just detach it from the Devil May Cry universe and it was just a story of a rebellious, like, shitty bastard teen Nephilim essentially, and yeah, I think it would have been a fun time, like, especially without having any of the preconceived like expectations on the lore and the character, and that I think people would have been open to like an edgy douche. I don't even know. He's not even a douche. That's the thing. I think he's only a douche because he's not your douche. You know what I mean? Yeah, but. Fluff says, also DMC Reboot came around the same time as Infamous 2 was going to have a complete redesign of Cole, also making him a British punk rock look, so it was the odd flavor of the year for both games. Difference being Infamous 2 took fan feedback and strike in stride and was much better for it. DMC smoothed the edges out a bit, removing the smoke and put in a bit more red into the other. Yeah, I get what you're saying. At the same time, I don't know. To me, Fluff, I also really enjoyed like the new look of the new character. As much as I love Cole McGrath, we might just be different people. But I remember when I first seen like the new Cole McGrath, I was like, okay, it kind of looks cool. Like he's got some tattoos and shit. He's got like some crazy styled hair and shit. It looks wild. As much as I love Cole McGrath, I was also like, this is cool. I do think they could have done it in a cool way of like, hey, this is, I don't know, fucking Cole's son or something. Although I understand the stakes. Again, it just seems like make a different game with powers, essentially. Don't fucking corrupt what is good already. That's probably the message of the day. Don't just make a new IP, make a spin-off. I'm sure it'll be great. Like, calm down. People like the world of Infamous. The stakes are high when the world's so cool, and people will have built-in trust with the fact that it's a new game to try. You know. No, I haven't seen TennoCon yet. I've seen it's advertised right now on YouTube. It's streaming, but I'm sure it's gonna be great. I heard someone say that Warframe was in a really good state, and then they kind of shifted that back down into kind of fuckiness, and then it's bounced back maybe at this point. That tends to be kind of how it is, which I feel like it's kind of fair. It feels like Warframe can, like, it's trying to listen to feedback, but it can't react immediately, which is rough. But yes, Merlin says, a fucking great stuff coming. Ooh, what is it? What kind of stuff, Merlin? Hit me with it. But I do want to talk to you guys about the one thing, just to stay on track a little bit with just to round off what we were talking about. So, talk to you guys about how I basically taken a course in which it tells you to do surveillance of a community, of a YouTube environment of potential, essentially. And I found out that the stoinks are really not high for Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Anyways, any real looter shooter right now, not great. It's okay, but it's not great. Also, one of the things that this is going to be a real, let's see, how can we talk about this properly? So one of the subjects in the course I'm taking as well is, and this is kind of an obvious thing, but it's pretty valuable to know who you are creating content for. So we talked in part about, like, if you were making food videos, there's a difference between people who like specific kind of food videos, like recipes, given the other group is foodies, people who just like food. They take pictures of food. They're not the same people. They don't like the same content usually. They like different aspects or genres of the category of food. Same thing can be said for gaming. You know, a lot of people like long form or like genres. Like some people like TV shows that are comedy. Some people like anime that's zero to hero, and that's a whole subcategory in itself. And you can see all of that on YouTube. It's just becoming better at finding like a specific community that you enjoy. But needless to say, one of the chapters or courses is about finding your character, your viewer avatar is what they call it. So it's basically finding you guys and defining who you are, defining what your demographic is, who you are in the world, and then better understanding what you may enjoy and optimizing for you, which is interesting. Now, again, I told you guys that the channel that I'm breaking down is Brothers Grin, our gaming channel. So in breaking down that channel, which is predominantly uploading Wonderland's build content, I'm gonna guess. What do you guys think the demographic is for that channel? I'm curious. And yes, I just want to see if anyone has a baseline. Give me things like age, location, when they watch, what I kind of through generation. What group of like a millennial, boomer? What are we doing? Lone Syndicate says, I remember seeing design row for the first Cole McGrath, and I thought this man right here looks cool as hell, and he was like a delinquent who did graffiti. Okay, the first Cole McGrath, is that what you're saying? The Cole McGrath? Merlin says there are videos. Check the TennoCon channel on YouTube. Okay, we'll check probably maybe at the end of the stream. We'll look at that, or I'll just look at it eventually. Alva says, Had it been its own thing, I'd be fine with it. I'd still find it lazy writing moments to be lazy. Again, the devs were also openly negative towards the fan base of the main series, 4 games worth by this period, and pretty much insulting them for liking the original. The last thing, the reboot of remaking things despite the core demographic. Okay, yeah, I don't know. To me, I always wonder what comes first though, Fluff, the chicken or the egg. I tend to think it's, in most cases, it's the chicken, or sorry, it's the community. I tend to think that like game developers are like trying to make a game, and then people dislike heavily the new design, and then they start shitting all over them, and they're like, hey, fuck you too, and then they're like, how could you? Viewers and like communities are always like, oh, you hit me, and it's like, you were fucking just swatting me. Like, what is happening? But I agree, I understand. Yay. Merlin says for now, soft frame roguelite open world Warframe MMO is ish game mode. Okay, interesting. Also, Sega says Gen Z and Gen Alpha. What did Fluff say? Fluff said another example of how the actor is showrunner from Netflix Cowboy Bebop had similar behavior. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. We're like, okay, I see. That's pretty toxic. Although I always wonder if, I mean, no, there are people who are just like rude. I just think that, yeah, I don't know. I tend to not think people are that stupid. I tend to think it's usually like people don't usually just say fuck you in particular. It's usually like because someone is mean to them. Usually, not always. What's good, Rasta? Rasta says, hey, Grim, what's good, Rasta? What's good, Spark? Spark says, demography are white boomers from a retirement home in South Florida. Rough, Sparks, but okay. Rasta says, Grin, Steve from Warframe finally did it. He had moved on from Warframe to a new ham that's in Warframe universe, but kinda isn't. A new ham? A new ham? What does that mean? Oh, a new game. Grin, Steve from Warframe finally did it. He moved on from Warframe, and he's on a new game that's the Warframe universe, but kind of isn't. Okay, weird. I guess that would have replaced Ninja Theory more if this double down on their superiority complex. Okay, yeah, I had no idea. Seems like there's a lot of, you were in the midst of the back and forth hellscape, which could have been entirely on them alone, but yes. But it seemed like you've been hardened by war. To try and better explain what Rasta is saying. Okay, what to try to, okay, I'm lost. Anyways, so people were saying, what is the what is it called? I can't say the word. Demographic of our shared Grin channel. Shockingly enough, it is people between the age of 25 and 35, which is pretty old. I would say pretty old on that channel. Viewership, by the way, not just subscribers. But yeah, they're also, of course, all of them live in America. All of them. And what was the other one? 99% of them. I think Sekiri might be I'm not even sure if Sekiri's subscribed to that channel. But there's a 99.9 male audience, which is brutal. They all watch around 12 p.m. because I think they're like all 25 and 35, probably have like jobs, etc. All that. What was the other ones? Shit. I can't remember some of them, but regardless, that's the kind of the baseline for a lot of the audience. But anyways, so that I just wanted to see what you guys thought about that. But I was surprised that like my 90% of my audience is old, 25 to 35. It's not old, but that's not 13-year-olds, which is like 80% of internet people, I think at least, are probably all on TikTok. But anyway, so I ended up doing the course, and one of the things that it talks to you about is how to find your specific viewer, the viewer that you're trying to accommodate the most. The viewer that basically is, you have two types of viewers, the book kind of says. You have your viewers that are kind of like your hardcore fan viewers, which are like you're kind of what they call them, focus group. They're the people that like watch your videos all the way through. They're the people that you're trying to optimize for. And then you have your buyers, people who are actually willing to like pay for whatever you like, subscribe to you, or if you ever had merch, they'd say fuck it, and they'd throw you $20 or something. So there's two different types of people. It can kind of be one and the same, but usually it's like there's a lot of group of people who are just happy to enjoy their content and spread it around if it's accommodating them specifically. And then you have your buyers, which are people who are have disposable income and willing to spend for you, or spending on something that they find value in that you have provided. But as I did this, as I went and broke down, because that's what it does. This chapter basically says, who is your ideal viewer? Go to your analytics, find out who they are, and find out who you are optimizing for, and do the math, and basically you start to infer stuff that is given to you by the data. So it's like, oh, okay, what is the likelihood that my audience, which is this and this, like this age bracket to this age bracket, what is the likelihood of them also being able to watch long-form content? Probably not good. Probably they have a job. Probably they have other stuff going on. Probably not. They can probably not watch the longest form content. So it's like, okay, it's a good idea to shorten content. You do that, you see a benefit. You're like, holy shit, okay, now a video did better. Then you also do other things where you're like, okay, what are their patterns? Like, what are their habits that they probably do? And you're like, oh, they probably, when they get home, that's when they do it. Or maybe they have a family or girlfriend or wife, and the wife and girlfriend wants to spend time with them through like around 5 when they get home to around 8. So around 9 and 10 is like their last 2 hours of the day, and they probably would get to watching some internet content, maybe playing a few games, maybe watching a stream. That's when they probably intake content. So there's that. And then you basically start inferring a lot from the data that you're given. Now, of course, as more data comes in, as you try more things, you can use that as a jumping off point to kind of infer more for who this person is, who you're kind of trying to create content to some regard for. Now, after doing all of this, surveying the Wonderlands community, surveying my audience that YouTube was able to find for me from the Wonderlands community, which this is you guys to some extent. A part of me was wondering, because I looked at what the content that people most engage with. I looked at what the content of the viewer that is in the Wonderlands community engages with the most. I looked at all those things, and I kind of started to slow down and be like, well, first of all, when I finally did my like viewer avatar breakdown based on my data, I kind of found a viewer that I was like, I don't know if this is necessarily the viewer that I want. It had nothing to do with the age. It had to do with their watch patterns and things like that. You know what I mean? And I kind of had to stop and sit there and be like, what would you guys do? Because there's two things. One of the things the book says is YouTube will find you an audience, but that's like eventually you have to be open to the idea that like this is the audience that they were able to find for you. Don't bite a gift horse in the mouth. You have to figure this out. You have to optimize for who YouTube is able to find for you. But also, I think there is something to be said for that. You could create content for a specific audience and see if you can make a dent in acquiring that audience as well. So basically, that's what I did. And I wanted to pick your guys' brain about this. What would you guys do if you're in my position as well, where you broke down your audience and you found out that some of the audience in which you're aiming for, specifically in this gaming channel where we're covering builds and guides, you basically come to the understanding of, well, the viewing patterns for this audience, for this ideal viewer, what they want to watch, what they are watching, doesn't really, like, it's kind of, you have to also ask yourself the content question of, well, are you willing to make this kind of content that this viewer likes for a lot longer of a time? And the type of content that viewer usually watches is like guides, searchable content, builds, and yes, you can come up with other stuff, absolutely. But that's kind of the general idea of like, would you be okay making this content forever? And I'm kind of like, I like making guides, I like making builds, but to do that always and forever, and also those videos have a weird like half-life, where they're not very suggested video-y. They're kind of videos that people search for. So you'd always have to be understanding exactly what people are searching for, providing that, and then knowing that video has a half-life, because eventually there's going to be a new game, there's going to be new value, but granted, people will always search the same kind of things, how to level up fast, those things. But yes, so it's kind of like, do I want to produce content that this audience would most like to intake if it is content that I don't want to make for forever, essentially? And then the other thing was the threshold of growth in the Wonderlands community is already rough, which brought, again, like what Fluff said, we're more generalized. We're more general, essentially. We're like, Our gaming channel is our gaming channel. Any gaming guide content, any sort of like edited content will be there. Our streaming channel is GRINN, also kind of personal use, whatever. An archive channel, and then share GRINN is going to be like any sort of media. The end. But I don't like. To me, it's weird because I like if you're watching this on the GRINN channel when it gets archived. It's not that I want to like not give you videos. It's just when you think about, oh, I'll be on the hook, because I'm basically telling YouTube. I'm like, with every upload, with every tag, with every type of video, with every viewer that likes this kind of content that I'm uploading, I'm signaling to YouTube that's the kind of content that I produce. So like you need to go, like I'm basically giving YouTube like stuff and saying, find somebody who likes this, knowing full well who kind of likes this. And I'm kind of like, but do I want to make that kind of content forever for this person, or do I want to try to make content for a different kind of person, for a different kind of viewer? And again, I think, like, again, we have 3 channels with 3 very, very different types of content on both. We have a very guidey build video channel, which is currently with the things, with the Brothers GRINN channel, and then we have Me Nonsense, which I haven't optimized or refined or even made a dent in. I'm just kind of like throwing videos that I want to upload there because I still have fun. I want to apply stuff, and of course our streams are going crazy, which I still haven't optimized, by the way. I haven't done any of the stuff that I've talked to you about for those channels. I've only done it for the GRINN channel, or the Brothers GRINN channel. So I'm at a point right now where basically I'm like, do I even like, given my goals, which only I know, I don't really feel comfortable talking about them just yet. It's nothing too negative. It's not like I'm trying to get as many views and subscribers. Nothing like that yet. But what do you call it? Do I want to, like, if you have a goal and you're going down a certain path and you're kind of like scouting and you're like, oh, I'm not sure if this is actually where I want to be to get to where I want to go. So, yes, how do I make this so you guys can actually reply to the question? What would you guys do in my position where you basically paced out the future of where you've signaled yourself to go, and you found out that you're like, I'm not sure if that's actually where we're going to go. Now, I still think I'll make some Wonderlands content, absolutely. And who knows, maybe there'll be like a bunch of updates and it'll be a renaissance, and I'll be super inspired, and I'm like, yes. But also, a part of me thinks I want to try going in the paint, hard in the paint when it comes to, what do you call it, Tower of Fantasy, as well as, what's the other game, man? Not Tower of Fantasy. I can't think of it. It's Saints Row the reboot. Saints Row reboot though has potentially limited content, but if I get it on PC, there should be mods. We'll see. But yes. That's the thing where I'm at right now, and I want to know what you guys think about it. It's basically, I broke down my character, my viewer, and I was like, and you're not them, probably. The age is not defining. It's the viewer behavior, essentially. It's like the kind of content that people are drawn to, which is like, do I want to make guides and builds forever? I'm like, oh god. That's a lot, man. Especially from like, and again, it's not that I dislike making builds, it's just the prospect of like mainly doing that, and that they are very different people. Like, you know how we just talked about how there are foodies and there are people who like recipes, of like they search recipes on YouTube. They're very different people, so you can't necessarily do both, because YouTube will try to give the same like gaming content to the same food content to the other food content liker, and then they'll be confused because it's like, well, yeah, this is food content. So you do need to distinguish what is which really well. And half of that is like metadata, but 90% of what YouTube looks at is user data. This is getting a little bit confusing, but I wonder, what do you guys think about that whole thing? Hopefully I was able to make some sense. I looked into the eye of the abyss and I thought, I'm not sure if this is where we should be aiming, you know? But also on the topic of my, like, when I did the research of my viewer avatar, I was blown away by, again, like, I'm like a goofball. I don't really know. I would have thought I would have been like, I would not have thought like 25 to 30 it would be my kind of huge consolidation of my demographic, which, by the way, is only on the Wonderlands channel. Like, if you are subscribed on my GRINN channel, I haven't broken that down. This is specifically on this channel, which is pretty polarizing in terms of audience difference from what we do. on the topic of what Rasta was talking to tell me about Warframe, as a part of TennoCon, along with other announcements for Warframe itself, there's a partnership with Airship Syndicate on the new game, along with a wolf theme frame designed by the CEO of that studio. Ooh, okay. And they also unveiled as a sequel of a sorts to Warframe called Soulframe. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought I was getting so excited. You said sequel, and I thought, we get another Dead Sector? We get another Dead Sector game? Merlin says, I'm 42. I'm raising that stat. No, Merlin, it's okay. It's absolutely okay. To me, actually, it's kind of a 50-50, Merlin, to be honest. As much as I love, you can be whatever age you want. But the like other thing is, like, there's a huge group of like 18 to 25-year-olds essentially on the platform. There's also a lot of younger ones, but I feel awkward talking about that. But that's kind of like, if you were to optimize for any group, it'd probably be for that, the majority, democracy, all that. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to be, some sort of child zoomer nonsense thing. Rasa says, and Genshin 2.8 is amazing. I'm loving the rerun of Golden Apple Archipelago. Oh, I haven't gotten into it yet. It looks awesome, though. I heard nothing but good things, Rasta. Did you get Kazuo, Rasta, or New Win, Punchy Boy? Spark says, easy there on the old comments. 28-ish isn't old. No, I don't think 28 is old. I think it's old per platform. I think given like how every social media is mainly used by, like, it's usually used by like young people, then eventually older generations get access to it, and it just slowly starts ticking up and up and up and up. But no, I don't think 28 is old. I think that for YouTube, for social media platforms, it can be old, given your mass player base. Fluff says, that's not that surprising. Millennials grew up with the internet evolving is what it is today. Most of us will stick with the platform that's been the most consistent, and that they've also gotten to see start and evolve, or in some cases devolve is into what it is now. Yeah. Also, I was gonna say, I lost what I was about to say. The pride of devolve. I don't know what I was about to say. Damn it. Rasa says, and Grin, I bought a new Diluc outfit. You did? What, do you love it? I think you were saying you were going to get it, right? And not only does his outfit look sick, and the animation and sounds are all voice lines were added to be unique outfit for Genshin. Yeah, nice. Yeah. I can see it being the most unique yet. I feel like the next big mic drop has to be Zhongli's and Venti's god outfits. Like peak godhood outfits, right? Fluff says, YouTube has also become much more long form with the links of, with the likes of Twitch and as a worthy competitor. Streaming lasts for hours on end, so we conditioned to be able to consume content that lasts from anywhere from 30 minutes to multiple hours. Yeah, I also think, I don't know, a part of me wonders, because I do think that the majority of content consumed on the platform, even in gaming, is still a little bit condensed. I think it's probably a barometer of 60 and 40, I would say. 60% of people would watch a 10-minute video. I think 40% would watch like a longer 20-minute video. Granted, I do think, it depends. I don't know. I guess, because I feel like there is the good argument of like, well, people would just watch streams if they wanted to watch even longer content, which I think is true. And oftentimes people do. People just watch like edited down streams, 3 hours into 20 minutes, something like that. So I guess it's a kind of a polarity. Again, I think YouTube is getting better at just finding an audience for you. It'll find the users that like long form, and it'll feed it to you if you're accommodating long form content, which is weird. You think it's just like turn on a stream and have fun, but it's not. If you're tuning into streams, a lot of streams have a lot going on a lot of the time. Fluff says, yet YouTube is also embracing short-form content to compete with TikTok and Instagram. Yeah. Cool. YouTube has always been like the fuck it, steal it, take it. We'll see if it works. Young says, hey, their baby reminds. What? Hey, their Bubby Remember meat to meat. What, Young? What's good? Also, what's good, Young? But what? What's good, buddy? Fluff says, I can't speak for anyone else, but I stick around ever since my brother and I found you in Battleborn was relevant. I've enjoyed the content no matter what it has been, even for games, anime, or other topics I don't personally engage with. I'd say it's good to always keep your options open, but focus on what you're passionate about is what should matter most. That's something that the book talks about, Fluff, as well. The book says that if you want to succeed on YouTube, you need to find the crossroads between what you are passionate about and what people want and people want to see. Otherwise, why even upload to YouTube? You could just have a bunch of videos that you could watch and be happy with yourself. The whole reason why you upload is so you want to make others, you want to show it to others, and why would you show something to others if you wanted a negative response? You want a positive response. So it's trying to find the equilibrium, I think. Also, that's far too sweet that you follow me so much through all my bullshit. I will say, there are people who I might DM saying, like, what do you like? Because if I could optimize for people like you, I would do it. But yeah. Fluff says, and also, to be fair, Borderlands and Wonderlands is a series that some content creators that cover the latest weren't even alive or gaming when the first installment came out. Avid Borderlands fans are in the midst of 20 and 30. Yeah, no, that was the other thing that made sense to me. But I connected those dots too, Fluff. I was thinking, like, why are all the Wonderlands people... And I was like, oh, wait, no, that makes sense. Yeah, Borderlands 1 is super old. So it's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That adds up. Oh, it tastes like melons. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like it. I like it. See, it's like it hits super hard and then it like dwindles. Sorry. Ross says, I got a Haizu, but I'm not pulling on 2.8 because I have all the rerun characters. And I'm deep Sam. Yeah, there's Dendro, buddy. Save. Fluff says, I'll need to try putting some time into Genshin with Haizu when Haizu is available and try to get at least one of him. But I also am juggling enough other games. I was about to say, you do not need another game. You do not need another game to play. But Fluff says, speaking for myself, I tend to watch more long-term videos. No, I'm also the same way. I watch edited down streams a lot of the time. But also I tend to watch long-form too. Yeah, so to me, what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to take my channel as basically like a newborn child channel. Like newborn, I said the worst way possible. So I kind of, my channel got an unfair boost, essentially. To where I think I'm going to reevaluate what I would determine to be the viewer that I want to optimize for, and then I want to produce content for that person, and then I want to see if YouTube can find that person for me. And if they can't, then I'll have to optimize for whoever I can find within like a 2-month span. But that's the thing that sucks, is it's kind of a slow process. So you need to create content for what you think is a viewer that exists, that's out there, and then you need to basically optimize for whatever YouTube can find after like 4 months go by. Because you also need to give YouTube a chance to basically find user data that was similar to the video that you are engaging with and creating. So yes, a little bit mechanically crazy, but yes. Fluff says, and only got Haizu to C0 because I only wanted to have all 4 stars once again, and I have saved up 5 wishes so far. Wait, what? I only got Haizu at C0. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, never try to max constellation. That's the one thing if you're a long-term player. Never try to max out a 5-star. A 4-star. 4-star. Because yeah, you'll just be like, eventually, if you'll keep playing, a banner will come around and you'll be like, this banner is like horrible for me. And it could be great. It could be the best, worst time ever. You know what I mean? Fluff says, and aside from a handful of exceptions, I don't find TikTok style short videos for me. No, I'm the same way, man. I'm built for streaming in long form. Granted, I do appreciate a good cut down 20-minute. Like, that's the thing. I think my barometer personally is 15 to 20 minutes minimum. Also maximum. I don't like, and 30 minutes is a little much, but still, 15 to 20, which is what I've been making content for me, and basically. So yeah, that's my barometer, but also I like it when there's like a big video cut down into, like, I still want my dopamine, my like shifting and changing. So yeah, that's exactly what I do. I take an hour and I cut it down to 10 to 20 minutes. Granted, I could do better at that. Yeah. Especially after having observed so many other channels, having watched their content and found, like, decoding what they do, there's a lot of stuff to be done. Again, by the way, I would just like to reaffirm this. This is the last time I'll say this. I said that my quote-unquote, like, lull, which we're still uploading videos, it's just kind of a lull period, not as much, not nearly as much, I thought it'd be a week and a half. I went through 2 courses, and I think there's fucking 10. So needless to say, it could be a lot longer, but, you know, we'll still have content. It's just, it'll be a slow process and we'll build back up. I just was overestimating how quickly we'll be able to build back up. But yeah, granted, I do think I'll get faster at doing it. So yeah, should be, we'll see. No word, but yeah. But a lot of what you tend to play and cover aligns with my usual gaming interests. Well, I think we're me, you, Lone Syndicate, and half the people in the chat are the same people. Same people exactly. Just various slight different life experiences. Very different life experiences, but we're all kind of added up to the same thing. Gaming interests, obviously exceptions being stuff like Valorant and fighting games, but we share a lot of common. I definitely think that's the case. Yeah, even then, I don't know if I dislike a fighting game. I don't even know if I dislike. I think I like Valorant, honestly. And my whole thing is that, like, I've always had the, like, creeping thing of, like, whatever game I play, I have to make videos for, and I'm like, I don't know if I could really make videos for Valorant because I'm not into being that good. You know, people who I feel like make content for that game have to be either the funniest people on the planet or super fucking good. Lone Syndicate says, as someone who fits into the 18 to 25 bucket or basket, I have been watching your content since I was a sophomore in high school, Grin, and for some reason, I don't know why, but it speaks to me in the way that other content creators has not sure if that helps, but it just my thoughts. No, that very much helps. I also don't know what it is. I haven't decoded me. Okay, I'm a mess. So when people are like, you, and I'm like, can you show me someone else who I can, like, say, okay, I get it. But, like, I don't understand, because a lot of it also, I guess that's not true. I guess I cannot not be me, but I can look at what other people do and still be me, but be better. Basically, having been like, okay, maybe like a long-winded, ranty bullshit conversation can be cut down into like 3 concise words. Bang, 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 here we go. Maybe at the beginning of my video, I could create like a hook. I could say, today I'm going to be showing you how to do XYZ, some sort of valued thing that you'd want to know, and then I would just jump in and we just start cooking, you know? Stuff like that. Not necessarily changes my dumbass and my ranty nonsense, but that I could optimize for people to engage with easier, I guess. So, yes. Flav says, there was recent reviews of sorts I watched regarding Monster Hunter, and one thing he said more than once is, I don't know why I like it, but I really, really do. And I'd say that probably applies to myself and Lone as our reasons for enjoying content sticking around. Oh, Fluff, that is the most unhelpful but hilarious thing ever. It's like, I don't know why, but yes. Okay. Oh, by the way, I take no offense. I think that's genuinely, like, that's probably good. I need to find out, though. I need, like, you guys can just hang out, but I definitely need to figure out who we're aiming at, so to speak. We don't know why, but we really like it. Yeah, I like that. I do think, how do I put it? I do think our environment is something that I think a lot of people would enjoy. I think that I am pretty terrible at basically being a billboard for our good stuff, if that makes any sense, which I'm getting better at having done the course. Because I genuinely think our environment, I think most people would enjoy. Granted, I also think it's, how do I put it? It's probably void of a background noise that people enjoy, i.e. a game that multiple people are interested in, making videos for that game that extend into an audience that we don't have, i.e. videos that are specialized for a specific viewer to pull them back into our streams and our other videos, and our even meme videos. That's something I think that I need to get better at, essentially. Yeah. Rasta says, my ideal time of a video for 20 to 30 minutes. If it exceeds that, it gets oversaturated. You know, I agree. I think 30 minutes is probably where it gets a little dicey. Granted, there are some exceptions. Like if it's a Let's Play or if it's like a story-driven narrative game, I get it's like it's opposite. It's almost like you become multiple different viewers. Like, you know how I said there's a viewer who is a person who's a foodie, and then who likes taking pictures of Instagram food and like watching a person talk about how delicious a meal is. And then there's a person who's like a recipe person who just wants to get a recipe and leave. You can be multiple viewers, given what you're looking for is the thing. So like I think the same thing is like a 20 to 30 minute video to me is like, yeah, for me it's like 50 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe, is where I think that's like a fun range. It's usually where I can like have it on in the background if I wanted to, or if I wanted to engage with it, I could engage with it, like a TV series almost. But I will say, if I'm watching like a Let's Play of DMC, for instance, I want my content to be probably longer, but also I don't want any bullshit. Like that to me is my one thing. Like I just want the highlights of the best time experience ever. But granted, if I was playing a game that was less gameplay heavy and more story focused, what was it, God of War, I'd want to see the fucking long form content where people shut up during talking, because I want to take it in. I want you to react. I don't want you to talk over shit. I want to see what you think. I don't want you to destroy what I want to see. Okay? That makes any sense. It's hard to explain. I see what you're saying. Fluff and love it. Fluff says, and sometimes there's no cohesive answer on why. We like someone, we just, it's true, but also I think I can do some things, you know? If you made a shift into a variety streamer sort, it'd be when games like Valorant and such would probably fit. Otherwise, with how you make content, yeah, not really something to just dabble in if you can't make guides or start endgame series. Yeah. To me, one of the things that like the book like stresses is you do not make content for everybody. It's just not true. It's just not true. 2, there's no such thing as a variety channel in 2022. It's just not a thing. No one starts it as a variety channel. They have to have something that distinguishes them, that is an audience in which is their focus group, which is the audience that they optimize for, that likes them, that likes the subject matter for them. Case in point, Genshin. You know, Genshin ignited so many people because they were Genshin channels that became personality channels and then bulldozed. But everyone starts off as a Call of Duty channel, as a Minecraft channel, and then explode to their audience. In the same way that the lawyer reached market cap on law students within in the same YouTube sphere, and then extended his reach to pop culture while basically doing a lawyer reacts to insert TV show lawyer that people liked and watched, and then his channel exploded. But it's basically like you start with small and then you build up over time. But yes. Rasa says, Grin, is Defo the one guy with a cardboard cutout of a fridge, and when chat keeps begging him, he just says, chat, wanna know biggest mystery? There is no fridge. What? What are you talking about? What? Or like all of this is a lie. Like that is not a mask. People come in here and say that, by the way. A couple people that came in here were like, are you on a green screen? I'm like, no, bud, this is real. This is a real bulb. It's hot. It's hot. It's hurting my face. I suffer for you guys. I love that reveal. My favorite reveal is the gaming chair, where the guy is sitting there and he's hanging out and he basically found like a way to cut out a thing, and he picks up the like shitty fucking IKEA chair, and he's like, yeah, it's just smoke and mirrors, bitch. time to get it. In regards to streaming, you are a warm, welcoming personality. definitely prefer to speak to your audience and address us as an individuals. You never try to leave anyone behind, and yet still manage to make progress whenever you are playing a game. Ooh, I feel like the progress in game is where you're giving me far too much credit, but that is the sweetest thing I've read all day, Fluff. Thank you so much. Fluff says, definitely not like Kara and her tendency of tangents after tangent, where their chat portion is often dubbed double or triple the runtime of game. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I spent everywhere. I mean, Kraken is a great example of someone that started out and earned his core audience as a clever comedy gameplay highlight channel. He has since shifted over to into streaming, being semi-variety sort of nowadays. Because that to me is the thing, Fluff. That's why I didn't finish the train of thought. So that's basically the formula that people are seeing all over the place, which is you start off being hyper-specific to a group that is going to basically ride for you, that is going to push your content and give it to other people, watch the entire video, signal to YouTube that it's good, all that stuff. And then other people are going to be seeing that because they're riding for you, essentially, and then you extend your reach. So then you're like, okay, now that we're doing, we've captured like a gaming audience that's looter shooters and FPSs. Hey, there's a new FPS game. It's not a looter shooter, but some of my audience might like that. I'm going to extend to reaching for that game. Oh, look at that. They liked it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe I tried a new game, whatever. But essentially, it's that constant, like, okay, start small, extend. Start small, big, build. And then eventually, I think you have a core audience that is the people that just like to see you do anything, and then that audience, those ride or dies, aren't necessarily riding or dying because you're producing the content that they like, but it's because they've just liked you. That seems like the weird formulaic the consistency that people have seen. So eventually you can get to Kraken, but you have to start off small and then build up, which I think is exactly what you were saying. Yeah, you started off, yeah. Not that her tendency is a bad thing, but it's just a contrast. Yeah, no, I see a lot of contrast with a lot of people. I see like a lot of people who just like they always say, I don't know why, man. There's something in me. I don't mind when people say, "Hey, chat, what do you feel?" Or, "Hey, my cute little name for my chat, eggs. Hey, eggs." Eggy people, that's fine. What I really dislike, I don't know what it is. I have no disillusionment for this word. It's just void. But I really don't like when people say, "These are my YouTube frogs," or "These are my Twitch frogs." I like it when there's a certain Genshin person who started it, who basically started saying, "YouTube frogs, how are you?" He speaks like that. He speaks, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He speaks exactly like that. I like him. He makes sense. But when everyone's doing it, I'm just like, what? I don't know why. I just don't like it. It's some sort of weird fucking mental thing with me that just doesn't compute. Yeah. Trends. But yeah, there's a streamer that had a fridge in the background for a long time, only for one big reveal that it's a cardboard cutout. There is no fridge, and then he just does this, pushes against the wall, and fucking it all comes down. He's like, "Your life is a lie. I'm an illusion." There's also some cool streams which are like a VOX. I don't know what to call it. Like people who like work in cinematography or animation, which make like a whole animated end screen. People are far too cool and talented. And he still puts on a semi-regular video that are close to his old format, which satisfies viewers like myself, since I don't tend to spend much time on Twitch otherwise. Yeah. I know that again. He's found a good way to like extend his reach while simultaneously making people happy on both platforms. Because I think there's also something for that is like that's something to me that I when I was thinking about like, oh, if I'm signaling to YouTube this is the kind of content that I want to produce, am I really signaling the right thing? So when I looked at things like when I thought about the idea of, oh, do I like the idea of constantly making like build specific for this game or like news breakdowns, and I thought and maybe if I saw like a shit ton of viewers there, I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe this is worth just doing for now and then building off later. And then like extending your reach to another place. But it just seemed like so many signals that I just got was like, maybe not. And I'll probably have to do a breakdown, like research or reconnaissance, what it's called, for right around the time Saints Row comes out or Tower Fantasy. Because those are the games that I could see being something that I could invest in long term and also extend that reach. But yeah, when I think about how to like extend my reach for Wonderlands. It seems like it's, yeah, like it's not, there's not too much reach to be gained, I guess. Also, I'm not doing a very good job of like putting personality into Wonderland videos. I'm doing a good job about like providing value, I think, of like, here's a build, here's something that I think you would like, here's like different versions of the save file so you don't have to do it, here's you know, all of that. I think that's okay, but yeah. Also, okay, so I have a bunch of other topics to talk to you guys about. I'll just scream them at you. New fire build for Wonderland we could talk about. I seen a lot of stupid nonsense news articles saying, is Bayonetta too sexy? / is Bayonetta designed specifically for the male gaze? And why are you the worst? Gaming community, basically. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about is Tower of Fantasy is recently creating like a community connection thing, which seems interesting to me. It gets me a little hopeful. The fact that they're reaching out to certain content creators to pull them onto the show, where the community manager can directly talk to them, and they apparently have a lifeline to the actual development team, so that if a content creator did want to talk to the development team, I feel like there could be a public forum in which they could communicate issues that they want to get fixed or where they want the game to go, which to me Mahoyu doesn't necessarily have. It's more so that it's like an insulated like voice actor chat type situation. Yeah, granted, of course, it's also like a, you know, it's very safe for work kind of thing, you know. Also want to talk to you guys about has anybody finished the Rick and Morty season 5 basically? Is anyone caught up here that I can rant at about Rick and Morty? The other thing I want to talk about is no, I talked about it. The like kind of the dawning thing that dawned on me, that like the content that I was producing with my brother's GRINN channel may not be the audience and content that I would want to optimize necessarily for, but also it's not that I don't hate doing it. It's just that I when I think of like I think odds are I could just make a game, like cover Wonderlands or cover a game the same way that I'm kind of covering Wonderlands while adding a couple other stuff, and I'd be fine. But yes. Oh, my stomach! I gotta drink more coffee. I haven't eaten enough today. It's so Melanie. Fluff says, I've gotten used to community nicknames thanks to all the VTubers I watch. It's part of our debut tradition. It comes up with fan names and such, like Callie and Deadbeats, Gora, and Shrimps, Karina and Karinis, etc. Yeah, no, see, Fluff, I don't dislike like bros. I don't dislike like PewDiePie bro things. I just have a visceral response to people calling a community frogs. It means nothing. It means nothing. Like, at least like Gara and Shrimps, got it. Cute. Makes sense. It'd be like, yeah, I just hate it. I get, like, to me, I know it's like a Twitch thing. I know it's a streamer thing. But it's the fact that it's like, your fucking community's unique, all right? Just give them fucking any name. Goddamn, but just not like a frog. Especially when I feel like it's clearly the guy, the guy I talked about. It says, I am so close to pity. Why won't they just give me my 5-star? Yeah, you going for it, buddy? You're gonna come on top. Maybe this is not the play Lone Syndicate. I feel like I've never been the like, it's just gonna happen for you. And maybe that's fucking up for you. Maybe I need to go back to my old ways about being like, hey, prepare for that rainy day. Okay? Harden your will. You may not get it, but you best be ready for when that doesn't happen. Fluff says, what I like less is when streamers just refer to their audience as chat. And that to me is the same feeling though, because I hear so many say about like, these are my Twitch frogs. It's the same thing when someone says chat. You know what I mean? Although I sometimes say that, Fluff, and I don't know what to fucking call you guys. My brothers, I either call you bros or brothers or dude. I usually call you my dude. Dude, because it's just, to me, it's a nice, fast, general, like, playful nonsense thing. Although I have no idea what like our cute little name could be that I wouldn't like die every single time I say it. my brothers of a GRINN cult, whatever the hell. Oh, my cultists? How about no? How about no? That'll age like milk. Ugh. Fluff says Bayonetta is as sexy as we need her to be. Besides, the devs thought ahead and are making a toggleable sensor mode, so people can't play the game. So people can play the game with whatever they want. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll talk about that. For those that those guys who didn't see, since we have Bayonetta on the screen, there's recently some like, I'm not sure if it's backlash. It's just, let's just have a conversation about it. Could be two people. Let's talk about these two people's conversation. But people were saying that like all censorship is bad, even if it's just an option. Like you can literally choose booba or no booba, which as a streamer, thank you, thank you kindly. But people were basically like, how dare they censor Bayonetta? Which to me, I was like, what do you call it? Like, again, any sane, rational person's like, cool. Like, you can either choose to, you know, have Bayonetta lose clothes as she's doing combos, using more of her hair, and less of her hair is able to cover her body, so you see her in like a thong, basically, a big whoop. Every giblet, I think, is covered. It's basically lingerie for 2 seconds, and also the camera pulls back so you can barely see anything anyway. Also, the graphics kind of look rough, so you can barely see pixels anyways. But yes, you have options. But then the take on, like, there's always like the worst take on both sides. The worst take on the censorship side, which is like, how dare they give you an adjustment because that's censorship, and any censorship is wrong. And it's like, this is the same people who are like, I don't know, it's just nonsense argument. Of like, just because you have an option to close someone, then it's just like the end of the world. It's nonsense. But on the other side of things, on like, that's like on the like conservative. I don't know if that's fair to say, but just that's one side of the spectrum that I heard. The other side of the spectrum, which is like, yes, cover up her shame, is the other thing I seen. Which I don't know, man. I get so bent out of shape. It's like virtue signally weirdness, but is without any like consideration of like genuine human logic. And I don't mean logic in a way of like, you know, fucking Ben Shapiro popping off. I mean logic in a way of like, just consider someone else's POV. I was watching a video today by a channel that I like a lot covering gaming stuff, and they talked about how like a lot of characters were made for the male gaze, and apparently the male gaze is like just a nice looking person. Like, and I was thinking, it's not the male gaze. There are plenty of women that agree that Bayonetta looks awesome. There's plenty of women that agree that Lola Bunny looked fucking awesome. Like, there's plenty of people who gay men, who everyone would agree looks aesthetic and looks nice and looks pleasing. This idea that like filthy man like woman who looks who has less clothing, to me was just like, that's such the wrong take as well. Like, both of you are ridiculous. Like, especially when, I don't know, I just hate nothing ever. No argument was, no mind was ever changed by somebody saying, how do I put this? By somebody saying all men or all women, or like all this culture or race. And I'm just like, why do people think that's any way to communicate a genuine like criticism for like, hey, maybe that's too much, you know, or maybe that should have a specific rating or whatever, you know? So to me, I got really annoyed by when I heard like what people like started communicating the male gaze was. It's like manspreading, which I'm sure there is a dude who's a doucher who just opens up his legs, but there is also plenty of women who just have their legs open. There's also plenty of dudes who have their legs open, for not trying to like say, you're lesser than me, fuck you. It's like, that's not a thing. I'm sure there's 2% of men who did that, but to say that that's man things is crazy. Same thing when like men are like, that's the other thing I heard. This is just like me getting mad at feminists. It's not even feminist shit. It's just bad human people. It's not even women against men and men against women. It's just toxic shit. Same thing when men say, oh, women are slugs or some horrible thing. It's equally as toxic. Anyways, but one of the things was when people used to say like, you explaining your perception or like how you feel about a subject was immediately called mansplaining or whatever it's called. I don't even know. Or like men explaining things, like, how dare you? I'm like, well, yeah, there are examples of shitty people being shitty, but like dudes talking down to people because they think they're better. But there's also thousands of examples like that for women, so it's just weird that you categorize, like, you make no friends and you just make enemies. and nothing gets better, you know. But I don't know. To me, it got a little shitty when I was hearing about the whole. Yeah, every side is insane. The extremes and the fringes are the worst, basically. Fluff says, in fact, Bayonetta had only gotten sexier to me. Her first game had the worst look. I like the short, spiky hair and the blue color scheme on Bayonetta 2, but I find her in 3 to look the best thus far. You know, I agree. I think, I personally enjoy Bayonetta 2 the most, but I will say Bayonetta 3. It's like scratching the like cute power woman stance in Bayonetta 2, or she's just a fucking badass, like a soccer mom that's not a Karen, that's just the best, you know. And then in this one, it's like the goth vibe. It's like, but not the other one. The other one was like some BDSM. The first one was BDSM thing. This is like more of a, like, to me, like, yeah, the goth vibe. Something about dark hair and red highlights that is just, to me, the peak of goth. But anyways. Fluff says, I definitely agree on that as well, unless there's a frog theme or... Yeah, no, again, there's a channel who I think is specifically named his channel, like, Frogs to the Cuff, was always that. And that, I think, is right. Other related things, it sounds silly. Yeah. Lone Sticker says, oh, trust me, Grin, I fully prepare for me to get the 5-star and it be Luke like I'm calling it. Oh, shit. Would that be, well, that'd be bad. You'd be incentivized to buy the new skin. Fluff says, trust me, you don't just blanket us as chat at any frequency that bothers me. Okay, good. Okay, good. Fluff says, since you tend to read our names and what we say other than listen here, chat, behave yourself. Oh, yeah, no, for me, it's more of like a, well, that's just shitty to do. Because, again, like exactly what we're talking about, Fluff, exactly. Like you're basically just shitting on your whole chat. Like when people say, like, there was a story I also seen last week where one doucher on Twitter sent a dick pic to the devs of God of War, one of the devs of God of War, which is absolutely not okay. Don't do that, fucking gross. But instead of saying, this is a disgusting human thing to do to people, especially when you don't get your way, which is why somebody did it, because it got delayed or something, or like was speculated to be delayed. Anyways, but instead of calling out specifically this person as being like the wrong thing to do, instead so many news articles made it feel like everyone who's a part of the God of War community should be ashamed of themselves. And I was just like, that's not how you make a good, healthy community. That's how you make a person feel like, excuse me? I'm not, what? You appeal to people's good nature and point out what is obviously bad behavior so that they can avoid it. Even if they have been doing it, now they know to avoid it instead of saying, no, you also are shit. And the person's like, and people have like a fight or flight response always. It's like communication things, you know what I mean? It's a nothing burger. People that are freaking out are likely just the Twitter mob doing what they do, or they are somehow missed that it's the optional thing in such a situation, and they play in front of fountain. Yeah, exactly. Fluff says, oh, or hell, I likely will help for streamers too, since outside of the tasteful censoring that already exists in games, it can still cause demonetization or other platforms or other problems to have essentially a naked woman flaunting it. Yeah. Also, it's just like if you ever did, like, if you had a son and you thought this is a fun game, and it's kind of cartoony and goofish, and also if you had a daughter and you're like, this is a badass hun, like this girl's fucking the best, but you're like, maybe not, like, don't run around and fucking crazy thing as a 15-year-old or something. But I'm like 15-year-old's too old, but you get my point. But like the idea that this could be used as like, hey, you could have your kid play this game and actually it'd be fun, because it's like none of the enemies are human-like, they're all cartoonishly like evil. Even then, I don't think it matters, but that's just me. I know some people have a little closer line to that, but yeah. It doubles as a streamer mode that replaces copyrighted music or tries to, and puts the characters in underwear and etc. Even the game's nudity oh my god, it's my eyes. Even if the game's nudity isn't a highlight or focus, it's nice to have the option to cover it up with certain audiences. Yeah, but my whole thing was that like I disliked the like one of the I guess my main criticism with the response, the good response to people being like options are okay, but then people took it a step further and were like lashing people that liked seeing like sexy characters or sexy design or good design. And people were saying like, remember when people were shitting on Aloy for not being hot enough? And I thought, yeah, that's fucked up, but it's also okay to have like a Bayonetta. I think it's also okay to have a character that is designed looking nice, like not designed looking nice, designed looking attractive or provocative or something like that. I don't think that means it's inherently evil or like men are filthy. Like I think there's plenty of women and everyone across the spectrum that could determine that person to look nice as well. And to say that that's strictly a man thing is just like you haven't thought about the problem, or you haven't thought about what you're saying. Do you think that all men are the only demographic here? Also, the other thing I got upset about is people were saying that, like, I think it's okay also, this may be a hot take, but I think it's also okay to do what we're talking about here, to know your audience and specifically give to your audience. Like, I don't like this idea that people are thinking that every game should be made for everybody because then it's made for nobody. I think everything should be like, you should try to make it so that people can have fun and let you try to make it a product that is good. But unless you're making a game and you know that like you're hedging your bets on, if this fails and doesn't get momentum, I'm out of a job. Unless you're willing to play with that level of a risk gambit, then yeah. Then to me, it's okay if you were to make a game and say our target demographic is boys or men, and anyone, but also not men. It's not even just men. It's also this type of woman who is interested in this type of thing, who wants to feel sexy and badass also. And that can be one of the same. But instead, people are like, but I want my game to be like clean and polished and safe. And it's like, but that's not the game nor its demographic that it's trying to feed. So the fact that you're like, how dare they do this? It's like, you're not the audience. Like, stop, just walk away, no watch. So I don't know. Fluff says, also, male gaze doesn't hold much water when the only current not safe for work mods I've seen being currently available are two of the main male characters, with the extent for the female characters being modified proportions and alterations. Yeah, to me, it's exactly the right thing to say. Like, to me, this idea that a group is so coddled is frustrating to me. Like, men like men things as well. Women like women things. Also, there are women who like women things. I like a lot of female things. I like fashion and shit. Also, who's to say that they're women or men things? That's also fair. But to say that like there's not any sort of, like, as a person who creates things, it's okay to be like, that's who I'm aiming for. I don't think it's wrong to say that. And I also understand that, like, it's valuable, like we were talking about, to extend your reach, but it's also like not valuable if you're making something for everybody, because then you're making something for nobody. Yeah, like you'd have like an open world game with every type of configuration ability, and people would still shit on you for not doing X specifically, or not just making that. Yeah, so it's just like something that, given a thought, is just unattainable and unreasonable, especially when you're trying to sell a product. Like, games are not just art. Games are trying to make money. So the fact that, like, the best way to make money is to understand what your community wants, and then also understand how to increase your community reach. And I don't think you do that by, like, destroying the previous community entirely. And maybe that's a testament to what we were just talking about, like, the best course going forward. Don't destroy your community. Find a way to extend your reach instead. Oh yeah, for DNF Duel, one of the first things were to do the dude character configurations. Yeah, I would assume that. Beefy men, short supply. Also, but that's also the other thing. It's like, it's what people like. Like, I do dislike that I did say female and male there, because I do think you can just have interests, but also I think that's the problem, is that people, it's weird, man. It's like people know that everyone can like a variety of things, and that's okay. But then people also have this weird, those same people will like segregate things and say that no, but this is specifically for men. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Like, yeah, it just seems weird. I like things when they're balanced out, when they're fair, essentially. When you've equated both sides and said, okay, if I don't like it on this side, I shouldn't like it on that side either. That's fair. What I like about Bayonetta 3 design over the others too is that her hair is actually incorporated with the weaving into her outfit. Yeah, that was also weird, but because it's like body hair. Like, what is happening with this? Yeah. With her short hair, I agree. Which is meant to be hair along to. Yeah. I love Bayonetta 2 hairstyle, but it doesn't connect. Yeah. So it's like, is this some other hair coming from somewhere? Lone Syndicate says, but have a wonderful rest of the stream, guys. See you tomorrow. Oh, did you say something that like you're leaving, Lone Syndicate? No. You're yeah. Thank you so much for stopping by, Lone Syndicate. Hope I can see you again. Appreciate you. Hopefully get that character eventually. Fluff says, so they found a way to both give her an attractive hairstyle with the twin braids that meld into the top. Yeah. Take your loan. One bad apple spoils the bunch, and so-called journalism swear by that mindset. Yeah, man. Yeah, to me, it's like the baseline of communication, and it sucks because like the people who I watch regularly for my gaming news are like, I think pretty good at it, but I just fucking hate that like the generalization of a community as like the worst. Like you never gained anything from anybody by saying that you're a monster, you need to appease me. You say, here's my experience, here's why I feel the way I do, here's why I think I feel it's valid how I feel. I think you'd feel the same way if you were given the same situation, and then a person has empathy. A person's able to be like, okay, that's fair, I'll adjust, I'll change. Especially when you don't expect someone to like grovel and like say that they're the worst human being ever. Like it's like base human interaction things, you know. I said that Dante and Bayonetta has yet to be the game. Had yet to be the game together. Essentially, in a spectacle fighting genre, closest we get to Bayonetta in Smash's Dante costume and Dante Mill costume. Okay, so yeah. Love says, if it's a long-running series, try some new things is fine, but you should completely alienate. Oh yeah, you shouldn't completely alienate your original demographic and fan base in the process, because you're likely to end up with a loss on both loss on both ends. Yeah. The amount of time we've had dev compromise for the tweet mobs that never had any interest in buying the product. Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to describe it, Fluff. To me, it's like you're optimizing for your focus group, essentially, your fans, your people who genuinely are a fan of the series, and the people who would buy your game. Those are two people, and sometimes they go hand in hand. Other times people are like me, who are like, I love Warframe, but I can't play it. So I just watch Vicariously, and I share things when I can. I like videos. But yeah, and then there's so many times they optimize for the group that doesn't affect their sales. Like, I don't know. Yeah, and also I feel like it's better to not give in to the crowd at this point. I think it's like people think that like that's a thing. I think it's better to not. Like, it's almost like people say it's negative publicity. I think it's far better when people like say, I refuse to apologize when I do not think I've done anything wrong. I'm open to hear what I've potentially done wrong, but I'm not going to accept that I did something wrong because one person online said it, because I have 1,000 people watching me and I'll be eaten alive in 2 seconds. I think people would be like, okay, he's willing to stand by his creation, his beliefs, so that now when and again, the catch-all is that you need to eventually, hopefully, be able to understand someone's point of view to say, yeah, I actually do think I stepped out of line here. I do think I compromised my own belief structure because I agree with that same belief structure. I can see how that could compromise that. Okay, I apologize, you know. But I think the fact that people, like, it just feels disingenuous when someone says sorry when you can tell that, like, your intention wasn't this, you know. And yes, like, the best way I can describe it to me, at least in my head, is I think your feelings can be valid, but your feelings are not truth. You know, your feelings are not like, and that the best way I could describe a situation in order for people to empathize with that statement is that, like, imagine if somebody, you were in court and somebody said, I feel that this person did X, Y, Z, and they made me feel this way and that way, and therefore I think they should go to jail for 3 years. Let's not even say lifetime sentence and stack the deck too hard. Let's just say 2 to 3 years. And you're sitting in jail, and that goes through. And you're sitting in jail for 2 to 3 years, sitting there like, how do I make it so that I can never offend or like disagree with somebody's ideal or perception of the world? How do I do that? How can I live my life like that? I guess I just can't. You just have to be quiet, and even then that could be People will just keep pushing that barometer. Now, if I said this to you, if I said, Your Honor, you're in court, and your defendant or the person who's going against you says, Your Honor, the subject did X. We have evidence of him doing this. We have security cameras showing him do Y. We have testimonies from the bartender saying that they did this. As I'm saying this, and you're putting yourself in the position, I'm assuming you're like, did somebody roofie me? Like you're not saying this is unfair, this is bullshit. You're like, I did not do that, but I guess I did it. Because that's a lot of evidence. That's truth. Someone brings receipts. Someone brings an argument in which you can comprehend and empathize with. A perception in which you could put yourself in and say, yeah, I guess I'd feel the same way. And that can alter your thing. But yeah, like your first response to that wouldn't be like, this is all lies. If someone's got a fucking video of you doing something, you're like, Your Honor, I changed my entire approach. I must have gotten roofied or drunk as shit. I apologize. And even then you could go to prison for like 2 to 3 years or whatever it would be. And you'd be like, I am never drinking again. You'd have a takeaway. You'd have a takeaway to how to fucking not have it happen again. You'd have a takeaway to that. I'm never touching any sort of substance ever. I'm never sipping a drink from any bar ever that I have not had a hand on the whole time. I'll bring my beer to the bar and I'll crack it open, chug it, move it away. Like you have a takeaway. You have an adjustment period where you can optimize for the people around you so that you can be more cordial. But otherwise, it's just nonsense. Anyways, sorry. I was thinking about this yesterday a lot. Most of the mob mentality folks are those that never engage with the content itself. They just bandwagon for the sake of being killjoys and can't stand other people liking something they don't. Yeah, not only that, I also think that they get a superiority for having more moral value than you. So like it's not that like everyone has their own values, let people live. As long as you're not hurting anybody, who cares? Like that's always been my perception. You can go fuck a tree, you can call yourself whatever you want, I don't care. As long as you're happy and you're not disabling somebody else's ability to be happy, like actually like based on like, again, truth, what is like you're actually enabling somebody, you're not just making a person to feel XYZ way. Yeah, like to me that is the thing I've always governed myself by, and I think that's what most people govern themselves by. But then I think there are also people who are incentivized via social media and upvotes, by people basically being in an echo chamber, and when you hunt someone, when you criticize someone, and everyone else who has that same perception of the world backs you, that's what you get incentivized to do every day, all day, constantly, because probably you don't have a lot going on in your life, and that's not a bash at you, that's just a statement based on why you probably hunger for validation and upvotes, is because that's the way you feel interesting, valid, and you feel meaningful, like you're doing something. Also, you're backed by virtue because you're thinking you're doing something kind and your heart's in the right place. But again, the path to hell is laid with good intentions, all that stuff. Fluff says, it's sort of like how people have become jaded over Saints Row or Starfield. Fully written it off due to what may be said or written on social media. I paid more attention to what is shown from both games, and I like what I see. I hope the story will be good. Hope the characters and writing will also be. Yeah. Now that's also the other thing. I feel like sometimes companies have to make a concession just to kind of stop the beating. In the same way, some creators even I empathize with creators who are like, have you ever felt what it's like to have like hundreds of thousands of people shitting on you all the time for 1 like hour of a day because Twitter's pissed off at you? No. Sometimes you want the pain to stop. And I'm like, okay, I kind of understand why you're like, I just need it to stop. I'm going to say sorry even though I don't feel that way, just so that I can maybe stop the pain, even though I don't think that ever really stops the pain. I think it just makes like blood in the water and more sharks are ready to rip you apart, but I digress. But I understand. I empathize with like some even developers being like, I need to survive. Like we don't want. How can we not rock the boat? And I think by not rocking the boat, you rock the boat. So yeah. But people tend to make mountains out of molehills, and the amount of time I've seen people be hypercritical over how a game looks rather than focus on how it feels and play saddens me. Yeah. I'm always harping on the goddamn gameplay loop. I'm always harping on gameplay. it's a new take on EDF, or Dynasty Warriors sort of format, where you have a massive horde of enemies on screen. So obviously there are some not as satisfactory graphics in the environment, or non-critical models for the sake of having other players' characters and other big foes getting spotlights and hopefully maintaining stable frame rates. I was watching something recently, Fluff, that was game developers react, but conveniently it was not that. It was a gaming content manager at Riot, and it was a voice actor reacting to Son of Wukong. And I was pissed the whole time, and I was like, you guys are not developers. I call full bullshit. Either A, you would be, and this is what in real developers, where they're like, I'm a game engineer. That's what I do. I create engines. They have another series on the same channel that I watch this from, who did that. And again, you'd be able to parse exactly what's going to happen. The actual game developer was either A, like that can't happen, or that's really hard to make happen. So be careful with that. Like that mechanic, like that lighting is usually pre-rendered, or they did this. Or you would say, this is incredible. Like, this is beautiful. This is amazing. I can't believe they got that to work so well. And in the other video, the Wukong video I watched, it was these non-developers, touted as developers, that were in the development process, criticizing like the way Wukong rolled. Like when he jumped and landed, the fact that there was no camera shake, or like the fact that his idle animation looked choppy or something. And I was just like, what? Do you not see the fact that like Wukong pulls a fucking hair out of his hands and like 1,000 monkeys just dive bomb this enemy? Like how crazy that is. Anyways, people, it's just like this is not a developer reacting to gameplay. This is two people who think they know games and judge games all day, every day. Maybe not the voice actor, which the voice actor wasn't doing that much of a judging thing, but the content manager was fucking judging hard. Hard. I mean, Fortnite and Minecraft are hardly the best looking games by any aspect. Exactly. And yet are two of the most well-selling games ever. Also, at this point, like, even GTA, which is also up there for one of the most successful games ever, doesn't look particularly jaw-dropping, especially on consoles, you know? Tech would consider a respective, but it's probably ultra looking realistic. Fluff says, your opinion is wrong and mine is superior. I will not agree to disagree. You will be buried for thinking different. Yeah, Twitter, a statement made by Twitter. Flip says, like what happened with Monkey Island creator. The poor man was broken because of the hate mob, just because they dislike the art style change. Yeah. Absolute nonsense. I seen that too, Fluff. That's just heartbreaking. Yeah, it's like the old games exist also, you know? Voice actors are voice actors, no, not game developers. Many of them have become a self-absorbed, like Troy Baker, the nitpick over things they know nothing about. I haven't really seen. I guess to me, Troy Baker actually is more of like a weird influencer, like content creator at this point, but not. Kind of a little bit. I don't know. I see what you mean. I think he. Yeah, I know what you mean. But at the same time, I have less. I guess there is Nolan. Nolan North is still pretty. Like, yeah, he's just like having a good time playing games with his son. It's just kind of wholesome. Also, his channel is not like popping, but he's still just like, people are like, we love him. It's wholesome to see. Because I think Nolan North has made plenty of money, especially after the Uncharted series in some way. I hope at least. But yeah. Fluff says, and the Riot dev criticizing animation quality is laughable. And their biggest games are ones with small character models and limited animation quality. Yeah. To me, I guess it's just always nice. Like, that was my favorite part when I recently also I'm watching a lot of weird reaction content. Not intentionally, it happens. I was watching a weapons master, like Armsmith, whatever it's called, react to Elden Ring weapons. And the guy was wholesome. Dude was like, first of all, the big hammer, you'd break your back, of course. But I'm really happy with this. And he'd focus on the things that they did really well, and like the things that like, oh, this is this weapon, and he'd pull out like a replica exactly of the type of like saber. And he was explaining that like not all sabers are meant to stab. Some sabers are meant to slash, and others are meant to poke, and they're different. I was like, oh, that's cool. But it was never like, FromSoft is an idiot. He was like, no, I love the games to pieces. And I always appreciate them taking like an actual couple of hours to like break down what a weapon actually is. And then having fun with it, you know, just to make it fun and make it a game. So I like that video. I'm not sure what it was called. Fluff says, I mean, he's a co-developer game now, but I find his blind defense over what they did with Joel and The Last of Us 2 is just, okay, I agree with that. But also, I tend to be like, I'm sure you're the same way, Fluff, but to me, I'm like, he gets a pass because it's his baby. As much as like I'm sure, I'm not sure if many people can talk about the level of like choices made and hatred found because of said choices from Last of Us that are a part of the creative process. Because even Sony didn't seem like, even the designers, like nobody seemed to really genuinely understand why people were upset. Like I watched a video, I was watching a content creator that I liked who enjoyed the game. And to me, I was like, okay, absolutely, you're able to enjoy like, you know, The Last of Us 2, but to me, it was like almost like a disregard for how he perceives stuff for how everybody else perceives stuff as well. Because he was kind of saying that like, oh, you know, people had a lot of issues with this new character, and I think it's stupid, you know, a bunch of, you know, it's who cares, all that kind of stuff. Or like, oh no, she's great. And I'm like, well, no, people hated the fact that like, you know, they made her unlikable, like they made her hurt you, and they didn't do enough of a good job about making the people who disliked her enough of a job of like winning them over, etc. Like I think multiple people could say the gameplay of Last of Us was pretty fun. The Ellie parts were pretty okay. The aspect where Joel we got killed and all of that is not necessarily, it's like an execution problem. I think people would agree that like execution problem with Joel and the new character, the new addition to the character, people didn't like. There's something you can take away from that. You can say, okay, our execution, even on the idea, the hopefulness of making people feel something, made it so that people probably would feel something to such an extent where the next game is probably not going to sell well. And maybe that's true, maybe it's not. Maybe everybody loved the game and everyone's ready for round 2. I would like to think that a lot of, like, I think there's a reason why they're making a TV show and a remaster, essentially. So I think they're not really confident about like, but I also haven't seen Naughty Dog be like, hey, we could have, this is what we're taking from your guys' perception, is the execution in this and this was the problem. We had a lot of good things said about gameplay. We had a lot of good things said about Ellie's journey, not so much good things about the start of the journey. We wanted you to feel, but apparently some people don't like feeling that much. Also, some of it people were saying didn't make sense, but that's kind of a narrative hard thing to kind of get down, because for us it makes sense, but to you it might not. But we may know more things about you than you about the structure. Probably don't say that because that makes you sound like you're talking over them or better than them. But yeah. But no, I have never seen him talk about The Last of Us 2 and Joel and stuff like that. So I bet that's pretty aggravating. It's akin to what random dev from Ubisoft, Guerrilla, and such were shitting on Elden Ring. Oh yeah, but the fucking UI? Yeah, that's painful. That's brutal. Sometimes they're the worst. They're like talking about the UI and you're like, shut up, dude. It's like the best game. Like it's like the definition of like stay in your league, I guess. Like people always talk about like, hey, you shouldn't punch down. I also think that certain people should not punch up. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's just like, stop it. Stop it. I hate that statement. Someone saying don't punch down or punch up. I think, it's a horrible way to exist. Oh yeah, I think I watched that. They had a medieval weapon expert on, where they usually have the guy from Royal Armory to review a video game gun depictions. Yeah. Except the guy who does the gun depictions a little less nice. I think the armory guy, the sword guy, was much more sweet. He was like, I played all the games, I love them. Whereas they always need a specialist in there that's like, oh yeah, okay, well let me tell you where this gun actually is. Like it does have that little bit of like, all right, what they're trying to do here, but that's not how it happens. That would have way more recoil, and it's just like, okay, fuck, I guess. Whereas that guy was like, no, I'm a big fan, I love it. I'm like, yeah, he's one of us, all that. And And I loved the sword guy was happy to embrace the absurdity of Elden Ring. Yeah, big weapons, whilst also having experience to talk about the proper form and all those things. Yeah. Fluff says, I'd say, I said it before, but I was perfectly fine with killing Joel off, but not the way they did. Yeah, no, I agree. Especially, my biggest problem with not, I didn't like that Joel died. Period. I think it's, to me, like, Joel should have had to bear the burden of what happened in the last game. I think he kind of got an out, which to me was not fun. And also it just left you with like a feeling of being torn, of like being mad at Ellie for feeling the way that she did, but simultaneously also being like, I kind of get it. It's, yeah, someone made a choice for you, but at the same time, like, would you not have made the same choice? Do you not care about Joel as much as he cared about you? Probably not. But anyways, but yeah, my main problem was the woman character, the one who was the Marine person, just because I feel like they didn't do a lot to make me like her. They did something to show me her in pain, but they didn't. Like, Ellie was so charming because Ellie was like a kind of a charismatic kid, but then also a kid that went through shit and like fought to survive, that like looked on the bright side and didn't just doom and gloom all day, which is what the one character did a lot, I found. And yeah, it felt like a very, very meaningless character that they were wanting you to feel for, and I was like, I don't feel nothing, man. Like, I empathize with the struggle of what you're going through to some extent, and I understand where your pain is coming from, but you just don't feel like a likable person even outside of your pain, you know what I mean? It's like we're watching an asshole who has a valid reason to be an asshole, I guess, to some extent, but not like, that doesn't make me happy to experience an asshole who's a shitty piece of shit. Yeah. It's not about Joel being some sort of sinless saint, but he was the protagonist of the first game, and it was similar tone to how Ninja Theory behaved regarding the DMC. But yeah, I guess that makes more sense. Yeah, not identically, of course, but the feels the same. The same like disregard for how the community feels about certain things. Yeah, and it's always frustrating when like an artist, like, again, doesn't account for the fact that you are making something for someone else. Like, as much as I love art and creativity, you want to be creative in the way that makes people feel like they want to keep supporting you, or else you're gonna have no audience, you know what I mean? So I can understand being a bit salty in that, but to try and insult the more successful games rather than celebrate the successes provided to learn from applies to next gen games. Future updates would have been in high. Yeah. Abby, that's what her name was. I think, yeah, Abby. Abby was, for me, to me it just made me feel like, again, also it's just like you have to do a lot of grunt work to make Abby likable after she kills like a very fatherly figure. You know what I mean? I don't even know if that's possible. I don't even know if there's a game that does that. That's like, here's a character, like, unless in all games usually follow the same format of like, yeah, it turns out Joel was horrible. Like, Joel was a monster. So it was like, oh yeah, okay, I guess it's somewhat okay that he dies. But instead it's just like, no, Joel loved his daughter, essentially, is what the fucking baseline is. And he chose her over the world, and then you watch the game. Also, just the whole optics make no sense. You just basically watch Ellie, like, basically furious with Joel and, like, conflicted as hell. And we, as a proxy unit, feeling conflicted. It's just, ugh. Also, fuck, we're over time. This is what happens when I make a list. Yeah, what do you call it? I don't know. I just wanted to round that off. Tower Fantasy, very excited. I'm really kind of hopeful. I'm just happy that it seems like they are having like the same thing that the Borderlands community has with the Border Cast, where it gives me hope that like a content creator could talk about something on their programming and be like, hey, when are we getting end game content? And then them have an actual lifeline to that, because it feels like MiHoYo is just not even like communicating with content creators at all. And if it is, it's like, here's our new ad run, and content creators are like, how much money? Cool, thanks. And it's not like, hey, is there even a possibility for endgame content? Could we do like a community poll where I could like give it to all of our audiences and we could all vote on like one aspect of the next update that you guys could optimize for? And none of that's hopefully that happens. I'm just excited to see that like Tower Fantasy is like, we're getting ahead of the community conversation essentially, which I think was cool. Anyways, the other thing I just want to squeeze in here, basically, I finished watching Rick and Morty season 5. A little bit of, not too much of a spoiler. I'll talk vaguely, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, you won't know. I despised the ending of season 5, and well, actually, I liked the Rick part. I hated the Morty part. I feel like season 3 and 4, or 4 and 5, are incredibly disjointed, and they don't mean anything. Like, there's so many instances where Morty should evolve and learn, and then at the end he's just a bitch. He's just the same old bitch who's just like at the behest of Rick. A little too much, but yeah, I just like that aspect of it. Otherwise, the series is still kind of a goofy, fun time, although I much prefer the serialization of the series rather than the random monotony of meaninglessness that exists when you reset a show every week and the characters basically stay the same forever because you basically can understand what they'll do before they do it, aka making them boring. Even in a show that is chaos incarnate like the show. Yeah. Anywho, is that it? Oh, also the new Wonderland build. I haven't even started it yet, but it's a fire build. Yeah. Hopefully it'll happen eventually. All that. And that's, I think, it. Yes. Okay, so basically, that. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to go exercise. We'll still chat for a little bit, just a couple seconds to wind down. But I do need a name for us to go raid, unless Luca or Buns is streaming. Also, I did not pause my playback. Yikes. Raid chat. Let me see. I see. Rue is streaming. Ooh, we might go raid aggro. I think we're probably gonna go raid aggro, actually. Yes. Probably gonna go raid aggro at the end of this. Okay. I don't like pretentious messages of sending you to Warpath for revenge, only to slap your hand at the end and tell people, yeah, oh fluff, oh, you're getting me triggered all again. That was the most frustrating aspect of the whole game. They're like, I don't know how nobody was like, hey, we're like, Ellie literally kills people like fucking minutes before she decides, but not the person that killed the man that is my father, basically, and did so much for me, even like abandoned his humanity and the world for me. Those people I just killed, yeah. You can go. Like, what the fuck? It's just complete crazy. Neil Drunkman sucks. I'm glad you know the original lead writer of Uncharted has long since left. No, I didn't know that. And I think it's currently working on another game that I'm looking forward to. Rough. Is he the person that also made Last of Us? Probably, right? Probably had a hand in it. Fluff says, and there was some recent news that one of the writers from the likes of Control is working on Fable. That's not bad. I hear a lot of these things about Control, so that should mean some good things. Yeah, I was about to say, I heard nothing but good things from Control. Only thing is, I think it had like a weird... Yes, it was like a new IP that came on around a time where I don't know if a lot of people played games at that time. I've said it before, Hollowverse and Genshin currently doesn't have a competition, and they have no healthy drive to listen to the community to appear to more than their home country platform. Exactly, yes. Which is why, to me, I'm hopeful that, like, seems like Tower Fantasy is getting ahead of that and like communicating with like potential community managers or community figureheads to kind of like take in what they're saying, which is good, I think. So like it's almost like they're like, see guys, we're gonna do something. I'm not sure if it's right, who knows? It could be the same shit show, but so I'm looking forward to Genshin competitor coming soon for the health of them all. Exactly. Neil Drunkman is the current director of whatever the hell Naughty Dog is doing. I am talking, but the writer I was talking about was Amy Hennig. She's a loyal woman and seemed to still have a good relationship with Nolan North and the other Uncharted VAs. Okay, wait, so she... But the writer I was talking about was, Amy Henninger. Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. So she made the story of the Uncharted? And she had a good relationship with all the VAs and all those people. Nice. Yeah, because that's what I feel like with a lot of what happened with Uncharted. It does feel like the same thing that happened with Voss, where they were just like, here's a character, give them life, all right. And that's what happened. Like, I feel like Nolan North was the same way, where like they gave him Uncharted, and I'm sure they, at some point, like eventually, I feel like a game 2, they probably were like, yeah, you know what Nathan Drake would say, so just do that. You know what I mean? Like, I could see that being a follow-up. I don't know if The Last of Us ever had that, to be honest. Fluff says yes, and notable work was Jak and Daxter. Ooh, Jak and Daxter is such a fun game. That's such a good thing. And Legacy of oh man, that's really hopeful. Legacy of Kana? Is that the weird like magical one where you're in a forest, little tiny sprouts? That's awesome. Oh, she's credited as the writer for Forspoken too. Yeah, she seems like she's a person who has a lot of experience in the. Is that the girl from for the Fable game or for the game from The Last of Us? Or sorry, yeah, which one is it, Fruff? I'm not sure. I'm a little bit thrown for the loop. Is it the person that worked the writer on Control? Because I've heard nothing but good things from like Jak and Daxter is great. Legacy of Kana seems fantastic. Legacy of Kain was the old vampire. Oh, okay, so it's not that one. It's the old vampire series. Soul Reaver is a spin-off of it. Oh, okay, so never mind. But still, Jak and Daxter is huge. I heard nothing but good things about Control. Now they're a different writer from Control. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is the person from The Last of Us, right? Is that what you're talking about? Is that the person who you're connected from? The OG writer of The Last of Us? I forgot her name. I'll have to check. Gotcha. All right. It's okay, Fluff. I'm just happy that there's a person who seems like they know a lot of narrative things. But granted, I've always liked the story of Fable games. Even Fable 3, I understand that people didn't like the gameplay of it, but I thought, how many of you were very touched by the ending of Fable 3? I got attached to big man, whatever his name is, father figure 2.0. He was that was sad, and he couldn't avoid it, which sucked. But yeah, see that to me is how you can't like Fluff. That's a good example of exactly how they should have killed off Joel. Maybe not exactly, but that was an example of how to. Here's a father figure. Here's the way they go out. Here's the way that like they end it, and they basically like pass you on the mantle, and they're proud of you and shit. And you're like, this is it, baby. What was not so good is when you got the ending, but you were good, but you didn't reinvest your money into the city. So then you had that touching moment, and then you had a statue saying, hey, by the way, you're Albion's worst king, and it was all terrible. The fact that anyone's alive is extraordinary. Unlucky. And it's like, ugh, it's not bad. Fluff says, I love the Fable series. I still use Ockvale as the name of my base, and sometimes as a surname of as the surname of my character. What is it? Oakvale? Okay, yeah. I don't remember the titles of the names so much, but yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. You guys have been nothing but absolutely lovely. Let's go raid Aggro, person who is nothing but lovely to us. He's playing Evil Within, which is an incredible game, especially to watch. I'm happy I'm handing you guys off to this because this is just a fun, goofy game that is incredibly enticing to see. So hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day. Also, there's no videos on the YouTube channel. I still haven't edited the Let's Try Into Grins I've made today. And again, videos will still be spacey a little bit, but alas, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for talking to me, and also hopefully you guys understand where I'm coming from when it comes to some of those metrics and algorithms conversations we were talking about. So anyways, hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, and go tell Aggro he's nothing but lovely.